Successful Self-Publishing. How to Self-Publish and Market Your Book. 4th edition. Written and narrated by Joanna Penn. Copyright Joanna Penn. Introduction. Welcome to the 4th edition of Successful Self-Publishing. This little book will help you understand how to successfully self-publish your work and start your book marketing. It provides the ways I've used to self-publish over 45 books of fiction and non-fiction, which has led to my multi-six-figure income as an author entrepreneur. Of course, I didn't find this success overnight. I self-published my first book in 2008, before ebooks and print-on-demand became common and digital audiobooks started their meteoric rise. I made a lot of mistakes along the way, like paying for 2,000 print books that I ended up taking to the landfill when I discovered how to sell and market. But over time, I found the most effective ways to self-publish that satisfy my creativity and generate a good income. I'll share everything I've learned along the way so you can save time, money, and heartache on your own author journey. This book includes everything you need to self-publish in ebook, print, and audiobook formats, as well as details on how much it might cost, how you'll get paid, and essential tips on marketing fiction and non-fiction. I've also added a brand new section on navigating self-publishing in the age of AI, with some practical ways to use these tools ethically and effectively, including example prompts. Like any new process, self-publishing might seem complicated at first, but it gets easier with practice. This book will help you get started. What's new in the 4th edition? The self-publishing landscape continues to evolve. Since the last edition, we've seen more authors selling direct to readers through their own stores, crowdfundings, serials and subscription, as well as social commerce. The rise of gorgeous special edition print books. More options for audiobook distribution. New ways to market books, especially using short-form video. And the emergence of generative AI tools to assist with writing, editing, cover design, audiobook narration, translation and marketing. My own process has changed too, so I have rewritten and updated every section with the latest information and added completely new chapters to address these developments, making this the most comprehensive edition yet. How is the book organised? I've designed the book to mirror the journey you will take as a self-publishing author. Part 1, Before You Self-Publish, explores important questions to consider before you jump in, including defining what success means for you, understanding different publishing models, and making informed choices about your publishing path. Part 2, How to Self-Publish, walks you through the step-by-step process of publishing in multiple formats, from working with professional editors and designers to formatting your books and uploading them to the various platforms. I also discuss pricing strategies and help you understand how you get paid. Part 3, How to Market Your Book, provides both evergreen marketing principles that will serve you well regardless of industry changes and specific tactics that you can start using right now. Marketing is a challenge for most authors, so this section aims to make it more manageable and even enjoyable. Part 4, Self-Publishing in an Age of Generative AI, explores how these powerful new tools are changing the industry and how you can use them ethically and effectively as part of your creative and business processes. I also provide prompt examples and resources for learning more. There are also questions and resources that will help you take your next steps. Who is this book for? Whether you're just starting out or already have books published, this guide is for you if you want to take control of your publishing journey. If you're thinking about self-publishing but you don't know the practical steps, or if you want to improve your current self-publishing processes and take your author career to the next level. You'll find lots of tips, tools and recommendations based on my experience in this book. But of course, I'm an independent author, and as such, I make my own independent choices, and you must do the same. No one can make your choices for you. There used to be only one way to self-publish, but the industry has now splintered into many options. Each indie author must find their own unique path, and many of us differ in terms of which services we use and our individual business models for publishing and marketing. That's the beauty of being independent. There are no rules. But there are best practices and guidelines, as well as recommended service providers who can help you along the way. While I've tried to ensure the information is accurate, remember that technology, functionality, and terms and conditions change over time, so always check the platform details when you publish or market your books. Are you ready to begin your self-publishing journey? Let's get started. Note: throughout the book, you'll find links to additional resources, tools, and services that I use and recommend. Some of these are affiliate links, which means I receive a small percentage of the sale at no extra cost to you, and in some cases, you may even receive a discount for using my link. I only recommend products and services that I believe are great for authors, and of course, you don't have to use my links. Thank you. Part 1. Before you self-publish. 1.1. What is your definition of success? Writing isn't about making money, getting famous, getting dates, getting laid, or making friends. In the end, it's about enriching the lives of those who will read your work and enriching your own life as well. Stephen King, on writing. Before we jump into the mechanics of self-publishing, let's take a step back and consider why you're publishing a book in the first place. Most authors write their first book because something is burning on their heart. They have a story to tell, a life experience to share, or they want to help people and change the world. Essentially, that first book is all about you, the author. And that's fine, all the way up to the point of publication. But I get emails every day from writers who are disappointed with their sales or how their author career has panned out. If you want to be successful, then you need to define what success means. Then you know what to aim for, and you can use that definition to help guide your decisions. The most disappointed authors are the ones who thought they wanted one thing but actually craved something else. Here are some common visions of what publishing success might look like. It's my life goal to write a book. I want to create something I'm proud of and hold my book in my hand and say, I made this. I want my book to change lives. I want an agent and a publisher to give me a book deal, so I have the validation of traditional publishing. I want to win a literary prize and receive critical acclaim. I want to see my book on the shelves in my local bookstore. I want to make enough money from my books that I can pay for a holiday every year for my family. I want to leave my job and make a full-time living as an author. I want to create a body of work that I'm proud of over my lifetime. These are all great definitions, and it's really about considering what's important to you and how you're going to measure your success along the way. Of course, you might also have a combination of goals, and your definition of success might shift and change over time as your career grows. You will also face challenges along the way, so consider your deeper reasons to write and revisit them if you need encouragement as your author career unfolds. My evolving definition of success. Back in 2006, when I was miserable in my consulting day job implementing accounts payable systems, my definition of success was to leave my job and somehow make a living as an author. It took 5 years of writing in the early mornings, building my website and podcast, and learning a lot of different skills to make it out of that job. I kept building step by step, year by year, and eventually we downsized so I could leave in 2011. But that was just the start. My next definition of success was getting back up to the income I had earned in consulting. I wanted to make 6 figures. That took a few more years, but by 2015 I was earning more than the old day job. I've surpassed that every year since, and I've never gone back. I've also had smaller goals along the way, like hitting bestseller lists and winning awards, which take time and strategy, as well as focusing on improving my craft. My definition of success now, after almost 20 years as a writer, is to keep making a living as an author-entrepreneur with multiple streams of income, so I can continue to live a creative life, write the books I want to write, and travel for book research. I measure my life by what I create, and that drives me on, along with all the ideas and stories in my head that want to be books. This is my job, but I also write for the love of creating, and I want to be proud of every book I publish, now and until my metaphorical pen runs dry. I intend to write for the rest of my life, hopefully for at least another 40 years. I'm in this for the long haul. The creative journey is the point, and there is no end game. Your definition of success will differ from mine, now and in the future. So for now, just consider the first step. Let's move on to the practicalities of making it happen. Questions. What is your definition of success? For the particular book you're writing now, and for your longer-term writing career. How will you track and measure that success over time? What are the deeper reasons behind your writing? What will keep you going when things are difficult? 1.2. Your publishing options. There are many ways to get your book into the world and into the hands of readers. The key question is which method works for you and your book at this time, as well as what might fit into your broader long-term author career. The choices you make will be influenced by your definition of success, as we covered in the previous chapter, so keep that in mind as you read on. If you haven't finished the first draft of your book yet, don't get sidetracked by questions about publishing. The industry changes all the time, so focus on your book first and come back to what happens next later. If you're ready to publish, here's an overview of the main options. Personal self-publishing. Many people want to write a book for personal reasons, and print copies to give to friends and family, or maybe sell at local events or in a local bookstore. I helped my 9-year-old niece self-publish a few years back, and we published copies for the family and also her school. My dad wrote a mystery novel, Nada, which we published in ebook and print, but he didn't want to spend his precious time in retirement marketing it or running an author business. These books are still available to buy, but the achievement of a personal goal was more important than any other outcome. Traditional publishing. This is the established route of querying agents and submitting to publishers. The benefits of traditional publishing include the prestige, kudos, and validation you get from making it through the process, as well as an established professional team to manage and pay for editorial, publication, and, hopefully, book marketing. An agent and traditional publisher will not ask you for money to publish with them. They will pay you royalties, and perhaps even an advance against those royalties, although amounts and contractual terms will vary. Some publishers will distribute your book to physical bookstores, and you may have a greater chance of competing for literary awards, as well as benefiting from subsidiary rights licensing like film and TV. The downsides of traditional publishing include how slow the process is. Authors who go this route usually pitch multiple agents and often receive multiple rejections. If you do find an agent, it can take more time to get a publishing deal and then more time before the book is out. It may be 6 months to several years from finishing the book to launch. Royalty rates are lower because the agent, publisher, and distributors do the work of publishing and take their percentage, and there is sometimes a lack of transparency around earnings. Some authors are disappointed by the lack of marketing for their books, and publishers inevitably move on to the next project in their pipeline. They are businesses and need to make money after all. There are different kinds of traditional publishers, from imprints of huge multinational houses to digital-first publishers to small independent presses specialising in specific genres. There are also varying kinds of contracts, with differing advances and royalty rates, and agents with varying levels of experience. If you want to go the traditional route, do your research. Learn how the industry works and how publishing contract clauses impact your career. Pitch the right project to the right people, and you are far more likely to be successful. If you're asked for money to publish, the company fits into the partnership model as below. If you sign a deal with a traditional publisher and then decide to take your rights back years later, or if they revert due to contract terms, you can then self-publish. For more details, read Take Back Your Book, An Author's Guide to Rights Reversion and Publishing on Your Own Terms by Caitlin Duncan. For more details on traditional publishing, check out Jane Friedman's site and her downloadable chart with the spectrum of publishing possibilities, updated every year at janefriedman.com. Partnership publishing. In this model, the author pays upfront for services, and the publisher handles design and production tasks, as well as potentially offering marketing services. The benefit is that you have a team to work with who know what they're doing, but the downsides include the difficulty of finding a good company to work with, as well as a potentially expensive process. There are some fantastic companies who operate under this model, and it can be a good option for speakers and professionals who want to turn their knowledge into non-fiction books, as well as for fiction authors who have more financial resources than time. You can find vetted and recommended services in the Alliance of Independent Authors Self-Publishing Services list, which ranks publishers and adds warnings as appropriate. The list is compiled for authors by authors, so always check it before signing anything. You can find it at selfpublishingadvice.org. White Fox is an example of a high-quality partnership publisher who I'm happy to recommend and am an affiliate for. Find them at thecreativepenn.com/whitefox. But while there are some great companies who do the best they can for authors, there are also sharks in the water. Companies who operate with shady terms and conditions and rip off authors along the way. Do your research and due diligence and check all contracts carefully. You can also check Writer Beware for publishing scams, of which there are many, at writerbeware.blog. Professional self-publishing, or being an independent indie author. In this model, which is my chosen path, the author treats the production of their book as a business, investing in professional services like editing and book cover design, as well as in marketing elements like a website, email list, and other forms of book promotion. Distributing the book is mostly free, and the services take a varying percentage of the sale. An indie author understands that a book is an intellectual property asset that can earn money for the life of the author and 50 to 70 years after they die. They take control of their writing career, from publishing the first book to potentially becoming CEO of a global creative company. There are also different business models within the broader scope of being an indie author, which can be mixed and matched per book, series, or format. Here are the main approaches. Exclusive to Amazon through KDP Select, Audible, and KDP Print. Wide and retailer-centric, using Apple, Kobo, Google, Drafter Digital, Spotify, In Audio, previously Findaway Voices, Ingram Spark, and other retailers and distributors to reach readers in all online stores globally in all formats, as well as libraries and bookstores. crowdfunding through Kickstarter and other sites, subscription models like Patreon, Ream, or Substack, selling direct through an online store, through simple services that deal with taxes like PayHip, or through full e-commerce stores built with Shopify and WooCommerce. Social commerce is also emerging through TikTok Shop and other social media platforms. These options represent a progression of the indie author business, with authors starting out with a simple ebook on Amazon and progressing over time to more sophisticated ways of selling books and reaching readers. Personally, I use all these methods for different books, formats, languages, and products at different levels of my business. The benefits of being an indie author include creative control over what you write and how often you publish, as well as your methods for publishing and marketing. Once the book is finished, you can publish quickly and receive income much faster than authors do from traditional publishing, within hours or days if you sell direct, or within a couple of months with the retailers. You own and control your intellectual property rights, so you don't have to ask permission to sell your books in whatever formats you like, wherever you want in the world. You can also selectively license your rights. For example, license your books to a traditional publisher in North America and self-publish everywhere else in the world. Or license paperback only, while keeping ebook and audiobook rights. The royalties are higher as you do the work up front, and apart from a small cut to the distributors, you don't have to keep paying a significant amount to an agent and publisher over the life of the book. You can set your own prices and profit margin, plus you can bundle books and add different, higher value products as you expand your business. It's also tremendously empowering because you are in control and you can take advantages of new opportunities as they emerge. Of course, there's a lot to learn, but if you're curious and enjoy experimenting and trying new things, you can learn how to run a successful author business. It just takes time and practice. I have a degree in theology and used to implement accounts payable systems in my old corporate job. I do not have a degree in writing, publishing, marketing, or business. I've learned everything on the job through books, podcasts, courses, consistent practice, hiring skilled freelancers, attending conferences, and building my author network. The downsides of going indie include the lack of prestige, kudos, and validation by the publishing industry, even if some indie authors sell more books and make more money than many of their traditionally published peers. Indie authors are often excluded from literary awards and competitions, as well as from certain conferences and some physical bookstores, although this has also begun to shift with increasing success in the industry. You will need to upskill, as well as find and manage freelancers to help. You also need a budget for editing, cover design, and marketing, and you need to learn how to promote your books in an increasingly crowded market. If you publish direct with your own store or crowdfunding, you will need to manage taxes, customer data, and customer service, as any e-commerce business must do. But you also have the benefits of a closer relationship with your readers, faster payment, and even more control. Professional self-publishing is not for everyone, but I love almost all aspects of being an indie author. It suits my personality and the way I like to work. But don't worry, there are gradations of going indie. You can start simple and expand your author business as you learn and grow. The best place to start if you want to follow this route is selfpublishingadvice.org, a free site written by indie authors for indie authors. It's run by the Alliance of Independent Authors, ALLI, which you can join to learn more and access help through the community forums. You can find guidebooks, a weekly podcast and blog, as well as a free online conference and other resources. As Orna A. Ross, founder of ALLI, says in Creative Self-Publishing, ALLI's Guide to Independent Publishing for Authors and Poets, being an indie author is a wonderful job, with a high level of creative and commercial freedom. But that's not to say that self-publishing is easy. To be an author, to be a publisher, to run a creative business, these are 3 challenging ambitions, all rolled into one indie author. You. Questions. Consider these questions to help you decide which publishing choice is right for you. Refer back to your definition of success and consider how each route might help you get there. Do you want to write only one book? Or do you want a long-term career as an author? If you want a long-term career, are you willing and able to write many more books as well as market them along the way? Do you want the validation and kudos that come with traditional publishing? Are you willing to play the game of submission to agents and publishers to get it? Do you want to make a full-time living with your books and run a business as an author? Are you willing to do the work involved, or do you want someone else, an agent and a publisher, to do the work for you? How much control do you want over your books and your intellectual property assets? How much do you value your independence? Do you love to learn new skills? Are you willing to experiment and try new things? Do you like to run projects? How much responsibility do you want over fulfillment and customer service? Are you interested in all aspects of the author business? How much of your income will you give up in order to have other people do the work for you? Remember, you can start out in one direction and change course along the way, or make a different decision with the next book. Part 2. How to self-publish. 2.1. Which formats will you publish in and why? Each format attracts different readers, produces different revenue streams, and requires different production tasks. This chapter gives an overview of the options, and I'll give more specifics on how to tackle each major format in later chapters. Keep it simple at first. Start with an ebook and print-on-demand paperback, and add more as time and budget allow. Choose a mix that aligns with your definition of success. If you work with a traditional publisher, your contract will specify the formats you're licensing by territory and language, as well as per book. Keep in mind that you can license some formats while continuing to self-publish others. For example, if you license the English language paperback, ebook, and audiobook to a publisher in North America, you can still self-publish those formats in other territories and languages, and also other formats, like special editions, in the same territory. Ebook. An ebook is a digital file that readers download instantly to an e-reader, tablet, phone, or computer. It's usually an EPUB file, but can also be a PDF. The MOBI format, once used by Amazon and others, is being phased out. Readers love ebooks because they can click and start reading within seconds, regardless of where they are in the world. The reading experience is customizable, with adjustable fonts, dark mode, and dictionary lookups, plus built-in accessibility features. And of course, there's the portability. Thousands of books in your pocket or bag, ready whenever you have a spare moment. As an avid reader, I read ebooks every day, both fiction and non-fiction. I download samples, I borrow ebooks, I buy them direct from authors and also from Amazon. I read on my phone and my Kindle Paperwhite, and I highlight lines, export them to email for later reference, and often buy the same book in other formats. As an indie author, ebooks are a significant part of my publishing business, and since 2007, they have been the primary way for indie authors to make money and reach readers. They offer the highest margin, with 35 to 70% royalties when sold through the distributors and up to 95% if you sell direct. While you still need professional editing and cover design, there is no printing cost and only a tiny digital delivery charge compared to physical shipping. Selling ebooks is also fast. You can upload a finished book and have it on the market within hours. It's also global. I've now sold ebooks in 180 countries, primarily in English, something that would have been impossible in the traditional print-only world. You can sell on the retailers, through distributors, on your own store or crowdfunding campaign, as well as make your ebooks eligible for borrowing through subscription programs and libraries. Even if you don't read ebooks yourself, it's definitely worth producing one. Paperback. A paperback is a printed book available in different sizes, depending on your preference. I use 5 by 8 inches for most of my paperbacks. Many readers still prefer the tactile experience of paper, and as an author, nothing beats holding your book in your hand and saying, "I made this." Printed books give you credibility, and media outlets and libraries often require them. You can use them for signings and giveaways, and beautifully designed books are more easily shareable on visual social media. My non-fiction books do especially well in print, and as a reader, I often buy non-fiction books in print. While some indie authors pay for printing books in advance and then manage fulfillment, most use print on demand. When someone places an order for a book, it is printed and sent to the reader directly, and you get paid the profit. You don't need to store boxes of books in your house. You don't need to do any shipping. It's more environmentally friendly too, as books are only printed when they're ordered, reducing waste, instead of the practice of pulping the books used by traditional publishers. Large print. A large print edition can be paperback or hardback, in a physically larger format with a larger font, designed for visually impaired or older readers. I produce large print paperback editions at 6.14 by 9.21 inches with a 16-point font. With print on demand, the setup is minimal, and I've found that many readers like the format, as do libraries ordering for their audience. While audiobooks serve many readers with accessibility needs, large print fills an important gap for those who prefer reading on paper but require a more readable font size. Hardback. A hardback is a case-bound or jacketed print edition with rigid boards, offering durability and a premium feel. Readers love hardbacks for their collectability and impressive shelf presence. They're more durable for library lending, and they make ideal gifts. There's something special about the weight and substance of a hardback that signals quality and permanence. And they can really set you apart, since even many traditionally published authors don't get hardback books these days. The higher perceived value also justifies a higher price point, and you can even make more profit with a beautiful hardback than with an ebook, especially if you sell direct through your store or crowdfunding campaign. Special edition hardback. Many indie authors are now taking hardbacks to the next level, producing special editions with premium elements like foil stamping, sprayed edges, interior artwork, photos, author signatures, and bonus material not available elsewhere. Readers cherish these collector editions, and there is a real exclusivity in owning a limited-run book. The extra unique material makes fans feel like insiders, strengthening their connection to you and your work. Plus, it's great for marketing. Social media is now filled with readers showing off their gorgeous hardback editions. I've produced special edition hardbacks with foil, sprayed edges, custom end papers, ribbons and more through Book Vault and crowdfunded the sales on Kickstarter. Readers pay upfront, effectively funding the production, and then the books are printed, signed and shipped. The first time I held one of my special hardback editions, I felt a level of pride that surprised me. Even after years of publishing, There's something really special about seeing your work in such a beautiful format. Audiobook. An audiobook is a spoken word narrated edition with one or many voices, mostly available digitally through audiobook sales and subscription services as well as libraries. Audiobooks have been the fastest growing format year on year for more than a decade, with readers listening while they commute, exercise or do chores, as well as using them for relaxation and getting to sleep. I love audiobooks, mostly non-fiction, and listen to chapters almost every day, alongside podcasts, which is how I discover my next listen. My husband Jonathan loves really long epic fantasy audiobooks and listens at night to relax. We are two very different audiobook customers, so whatever you write, you will probably find a listener. As an indie author, I narrate my own non-fiction and short stories, and I've hired professional human narrators for my fiction as well. I've used my own AI voice clone for my thriller Death Valley, and I'm experimenting with other AI audiobook narration options. I've also licensed audiobooks for human narration and AI narration to traditional publishers. There are lots of options for audio these days. Workbooks and companion journals. Workbooks and companion journals can be print or digital formats with questions and exercises, as well as lined pages, checklists, and diagrams designed to help readers apply lessons from the main version of the book. They can be standalone products or sold as companions to your core title. Readers find these useful because writing by hand, on paper or a tablet, can increase retention, and many readers prefer more active learning. As an indie author, these formats offer additional revenue opportunities. You already have the content, it just needs adjusting and reformatting. I have workbooks for many of my non-fiction books, and I offer a spiral-bound edition which I print through Book Vault, as well as a PDF edition that can be used on a tablet. In recent years, some distributors have cracked down on workbooks and companion journals, since they are easy to produce and they have flooded the stores. But that doesn't stop you from selling them direct or printing them for your own workshops and events. Bundling options. Bundling means putting different versions of your books together, so readers can order once and get multiple products. For example, I offer a bundle of my entire Arcane action-adventure thriller series, and I also offer bundle deals for non-fiction with hardback and workbook editions or different ebooks and audiobook combinations. Bundling books together in any format can offer great value to the reader, as well as providing more profit for the author. Ebook box sets, sometimes called omnibuses, are multiple ebooks in one file, so readers get a trilogy or a whole series for one purchase or borrow. This can also be a print book, although you obviously have to keep in mind how big the physical copy will be. Boxed sets are a set of individual print books encased in a physical box. You can now produce these through Book Vault, and they can be perfect for a crowdfunding campaign or special events. You can find all my books in most of these formats at my stores, creativepenbooks.com for non-fiction books for authors, and jfpenbooks.com for fiction and memoir, including box sets and bundle deals. Remember, you don't need to produce all of these formats at the same time. Start with ebook and print-on-demand paperback, and expand when you're ready. Each new format becomes another way for readers to discover and enjoy your work, building a more sustainable author business for the long term. 2.2. Editing and book cover design. Before you publish your book, you need professional editing and an eye-catching, genre-specific cover design. Investing in these areas can help you make your book the best it can be. Different kinds of editing. We're often too close to our own work to see its flaws. We read what we think we wrote rather than what's actually on the page. Every book, no matter how experienced the author, benefits from another pair of eyes. Even after publishing over 45 books, I still work with an editor for every one. There are different types of editing, and you might need different services at different stages of your manuscript development. Developmental editing considers the big picture: structure, plot, character development, pacing, and overall concept. For non-fiction, it examines the flow of ideas, whether your arguments make sense, and if anything is missing. Line editing focuses on your writing at the sentence and paragraph level, addressing issues like awkward phrasing, repetition, passive voice, dialogue effectiveness, and clarity. Copy editing addresses grammar, spelling, punctuation, and consistency issues. A copy editor will ensure your book follows style guidelines consistently and that your prose is technically correct. They may also do basic fact-checking. Proofreading is the final polish before publication, catching any last typos or formatting issues that slipped through earlier rounds of editing. Of course, not every book needs every type of editing. If you're working with a tight budget, prioritize the areas where you need the most help. Many editors offer a sample edit, usually several thousand words, so you can see if their style matches what you need and they can assess your skill level. Choosing an editor. When looking for an editor, consider their experience in your specific genre, their editing style and approach, their availability and timeline, their pricing structure, and whether you connect with them personally. A brilliant literary fiction editor might not be the best choice for your romance novel or travel memoir. Look for someone who understands your vision and can help you achieve it, while still being honest about what needs improvement. The editor's job is to improve the book, not to tell you it's fantastic and needs no work. You can find my list of editors at thecreativepenn.com/editors. Editing software and budget-friendly editing options. I use the editing tool Pro Writing Aid for every book to improve the manuscript before sending to my human editor. It now has developmental editing and beta reader reports that can assess your complete manuscript, as well as line edit and copy edit recommendations. It can help you clean up your manuscript significantly before paying for professional editing, and can really help with keeping your book project within budget. You can find it at thecreativepenn.com/Pro Writing Aid. Writing groups and critique partners can provide valuable feedback for free. Look for groups specific to your genre, as they'll understand reader expectations. Beta readers, who represent your target audience, can tell you if your book resonates with them. They might not catch technical issues, but they can tell you if your story works or if your non-fiction book delivers on its promise. By the end of the editing process, you should have a polished manuscript you're proud to publish. Book cover design. Yes, readers do judge your book by its cover. It's an important marketing asset, and you'll use it all over social media and your website as well as on your book. Your book cover communicates genre, tone, professionalism, and quality in seconds. It's visual shorthand that tells readers, this book is for you, so it needs to fit in with your genre while standing out enough to catch attention. Research the best-selling books in your genre and note common elements of design and imagery. For example, George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones books have dragons, crowns, and swords, so anything with similar imagery is likely to be fantasy. Non-fiction books often have a big focus on text and font, or one clear image, which makes them stand out at thumbnail size on the bookstore sites. Romance books usually feature couples, and the clothes they wear, or the state of undress, communicate the level of spice. There are conventions in every genre, so get to know yours. If you're working with a designer, take screenshots of book covers that resonate and send them to your designer along with the book description. This helps them understand what you're looking for, as they are not going to read your book. Using comparative titles in the design process is about modelling, not plagiarism. Your designer should never copy a cover, but design something appropriate for your genre. Different formats require different specifications. Ebook covers need only a front cover optimised for thumbnail viewing. Print book covers need front, spine, and back cover designs. Audiobook covers are square and need to be especially clear at small sizes. Working with a professional designer. When looking for a designer, check their portfolio for examples in your genre, ask about their process and timeline, and be clear about your expectations and budget. You can find recommended designers at thecreativepenn.com/book cover design. Budget and DIY options. If budget is a constraint, there are several options. Pre-made covers are genre-specific designs that designers create in advance and then sell. They're much cheaper than custom designs but still look professional. The designer customises the title and author name for you after purchase. Canva offers ebook cover templates that can be quite effective if you choose the right one for your genre. Their premium plan includes access to stock photos, generative AI images, and elements that can enhance your design. AI image generation tools can help create unique cover imagery that you can then overlay with text or even generate complete with text. Always check the terms and conditions for commercial usage, as these change frequently. I cover this in more detail in Chapter 4.2. Update and change your covers over time. One benefit of being an indie author is that you can always replace the cover if it's not working. If sales are sluggish or you want to rebrand your series, changing covers can breathe new life into your books. Traditional publishers do this all the time, especially with older books, and I've changed my own covers and even titles over the years. Professional editing and cover design can help you set your book up for success, and it's one area where investing some of your time and budget can make a huge difference to the quality of the final product. 2.3. Sales description, categories, and keywords. Before you publish, you need to prepare your metadata, which is the information that the book sales sites use to categorize your book and help readers find it. This is a crucial part of your book's discoverability and marketing, so it's worth taking the time to get it right. Write your sales description. It's hard to write a book, but sometimes it's harder to distill it into a tagline and a couple of catchy paragraphs for the sales description and back cover copy. But it has to be done. Think about your own behaviour as a reader. You see the title, check out the cover, and then you read the description. You make a purchasing decision based on those few short lines. Your description is therefore crucial, as it can make the difference between someone downloading a sample, buying your book, or just ignoring it. Again, you don't need to panic, as one of the great things about being an indie author is the ability to change things, so you can update your sales description over time. How to write an effective book description. While you can hire people to do this for you, it's a good idea to do it for yourself. You know your book, so you are the best person to sell it. But don't worry, it's not as hard as it used to be with the tools available. Go to the bestseller list for books like yours and read the sales description so you get an idea of the kind of thing you need to write. They all have a formula that varies with their genre. For fiction, the sales copy typically includes a dramatic description of the plot, for example, a heart-stopping thriller, aspects of the key character and often their name, a hook to draw readers in, and a possible reference to other books, perfect for fans of. For non-fiction, the sales copy will identify the reader's problem, promise a solution, establish the authority of the author, and often include a table of contents or key things the reader will discover. There might also be review quotes from other authors or media. You can have a go at writing this yourself, or you can ask an AI assistant like ChatGPT or Claude.ai to help you write it or help you refine your draft. They can craft compelling book descriptions that follow genre conventions while highlighting what makes your book unique. You can find more detail in Chapter 4.2. Formatting your description. You will need to copy and paste your book description into the self-publishing platforms using plain text or formatted HTML. I use a free formatting tool from Kindlepreneur, which enables me to display the headline at different font size and use italics, spacing, and bullet points. This makes your description much more attractive and readable on store pages. You can find it at thecreativepenn.com/rocket description. Decide on your categories. The publishing platforms also use categories and keywords to help surface your book to the right readers. Here again, being indie is an advantage as we can change these fields over time and react to shifts in the market. Categories are used on all platforms for all formats. Depending on the platform, these might be BSAC subject codes, developed by an industry group and used by publishers, retailers, and libraries, or a more generalized list of categories. The aim is to choose categories granular enough that your book will stand out, but not so deep in the hierarchy that no one ever shops there. For example, there's absolutely no point in putting your novel in fiction general. You need to be more specific. Readers tend to shop in subcategories, so research where other authors or books similar to yours are categorized. My thriller, Stone of Fire, sits under the Amazon categories action-adventure, conspiracy thriller, and supernatural thrillers. This book sits with other books for authors under reference, writing, research and publishing guides, publishing and books, then in the subcategories authorship, as well as writing skills and business aspects. Decide on your keywords. Keywords, or keyword phrases, are a separate metadata field on the publishing platforms, and you can usually select up to 7. Think of keywords not just as single terms, but as phrases that readers type into the search bar when looking for books. For example, second chance romance, small town, secret baby would go in one keyword field. For non-fiction, keywords can be included in the title or subtitle as well. My first book was originally called How to Love Your Job or Find a New One. After discovering the power of keywords, I changed the title to Career Change, and the book sold more since people were actually searching for career change, whereas they weren't searching for the original title. Tools for categories and keywords. While you can work out categories and keywords by manually searching on the stores, there are 2 main tools that indie authors rely on. Publisher Rocket helps with analysing categories and keywords for specific Amazon country stores, formats and languages. You can see what keywords are competitive and even discover which terms a successful title uses. The tool shows exact search volume data for Amazon keywords, competitive scores, and how much money the top books are making with those terms. This helps you identify high opportunity, low competition keywords. You can also use Publisher Rocket to generate lists of keywords for Amazon advertising. You can find it at thecreativepenn.com/rocket. Klytics provides genre-specific reports with categories, keywords, cover elements, and data-driven insights. Their reports include detailed analysis of market size, competition level, and popular tropes in specific genres, as well as identifying emerging niches and subgenres with growth potential. Their data on pricing trends and optimal price points is also helpful. You can find the reports at thecreativepenn.com/genre. Update your metadata over time. Set a quarterly reminder to review your categories and keywords, and even your sales description, especially if you've published a new book in a series, you've noticed a change in sales or page reads, your genre has new trending topics, or you're planning a new marketing campaign. Try swapping out less effective keywords for new ones and track the results. This ongoing optimization is something traditional publishers rarely have the bandwidth to do, giving indies an advantage. 2.4. How to format an ebook file. Once your manuscript is edited and proofed, you'll need to turn it into a formatted ebook file to load onto the publishing platforms. This is your finalized manuscript in EPUB format. You can learn how to do it yourself, as I do, or you can outsource and pay a professional to format your book. Why learn to do it yourself? One reason I like to keep formatting in my control is because we often change our ebooks over time. If I find a typo or want to change a link, it's easy to fix. If I put out a new book in a series, I can update the back matter of the previous books. If I change my cover, I can just update the file and republish. When you control the formatting, you can make changes easily, quickly, and for free. If you outsource, you'll need to pay for updates, and it won't be as fast. Do-it-yourself formatting, Vellum and Atticus. The two main software options most indie authors use these days are Vellum and Atticus, which both enable you to easily make beautiful books. Vellum is Mac only, and Atticus is browser-based, making it platform agnostic, so you can use it anywhere. Atticus stores your projects in the cloud for easy collaboration, which is great if you move between devices or co-write with others. I'm on Mac, so I use Vellum, but I recommend both. You can find Vellum at thecreativepenn.com/Vellum. You can find Atticus at thecreativepenn.com/Atticus. Help and outsourcing. If you want help with formatting, Draft to Digital can help you create an ebook from just a Word document. If you want to outsource formatting altogether, then you can find a vetted freelancer at Reedsy or at the partner member list at the Alliance of Independent Authors. When hiring a formatter, ask about turnaround time, update fees, and what file formats they provide. Check out my list at thecreativepenn.com/formatting. Scanning print books back into digital format. If you have books in print from previous publishing deals and you have the rights back but no longer have your original digital files, you can get them scanned from print back into MS Word, then produce an ebook from that. Search Destructive Book Scanning for options. You will need to send a copy of the print book, and the service will send back a file of the manuscript. You can then edit and produce a new edition. Obviously, you should only do this for your own books, and only publish ebooks if you own the rights to do so. Check your original contract with your publisher or agent for specifics. You might also be able to self-publish in specific territories. Many authors who had original deals over 15 years ago may own their ebook rights, so it's worth checking your contracts to see if you can publish digital editions, even if a traditional publisher owns your print rights. Images in ebooks. If you have a lot of images in your book or a lot of complicated tables, then you may have some challenges with ebook formatting. You will also have a bigger file size. Amazon includes a delivery cost in their pricing setup, which will be higher if you have a bigger file, and images increase the file size. If your delivery cost is too high, it will eat into your royalties. so it's important to consider the size of your file and whether you really need those images. If you write children's books, produce digital comics, or want to make image-heavy or fixed layout ebooks, consider Amazon Kindle Create, which is specifically for illustrated books. If you're writing non-fiction with images, consider whether you really need them. Are they critical to the reader's experience? Could you link to a download page on your website instead? You could also consider using images in your print book, but not in the ebook or, obviously, the audiobook version. When using images, you should also ensure you have the correct licensing and permissions in place. Even your own images can be subject to image permissions if they are taken on private property or meet other criteria, so make sure you check before publishing. Accessibility. While tools like Vellum and Atticus already incorporate best practices for accessibility, it's important to make sure your ebook can be read by all. For example, if you're writing a fantasy book and include a map, use an alt text description with an explanation of what's in the image. Don't hard-code fonts, as readers may like to change to a font like Open Dyslexic that is easier to read. Avoid colour-only cues in diagrams, for example, items in red are the most important. For more tips on accessibility, check out Content for Everyone, a practical guide for creative entrepreneurs to produce accessible and usable web content by Jeff Adams and Michelle Lucchini. Ebook formatting might seem daunting and too technical at first, but like many aspects of being an indie author, it gets easier with practice. And the tools really are easy to use. Give it a go, and you might even enjoy it. 2.5. Exclusivity or going wide. Before you publish your ebook, you need to decide where you will publish it, and consider which readers you want to reach. Do you want to publish on multiple platforms or exclusively with Amazon? You can publish on Amazon KDP as well as all the other platforms at the same time. But Amazon also offers KDP Select, which requires you to only sell your ebook on Amazon. If you opt in, your ebook will be included in Kindle Unlimited, KU, a subscription service where readers borrow books, paying a fixed price per month instead of buying them individually. The author is paid from a monthly pool based on pages read, KENP, which fluctuates every month. You opt into KDP Select for 90 days at a time, so some authors will put a book or a series in KU for a specific time and then take them out wide onto other platforms. You can, of course, have some books in KU and some books wide and change the mix over time. The more books you have, the more flexibility you have too. The benefits of exclusivity. It's much easier to focus on one platform, especially as a new author. If you put your ebook into KU, readers can give your work a try and leave reviews easily without buying from an unknown author. It can be a great way to get started. You have access to promotional tools like 5 free days or a 7-day Kindle Countdown deal during each 90-day period. These books also get enhanced visibility with KU readers, who are a different market to those readers who only buy ebooks. Some authors choose to build their entire business on Amazon, using KDP Select as their primary income source, and some authors do very well this way. However, it doesn't work for every author or every genre and will also vary over time. The downsides of exclusivity. The biggest risk of putting all your ebooks into KU is dependency on one platform. Many authors see income volatility as Amazon sets the fund size and KENP rate, and one tweak can significantly impact your monthly income. A problem with your account due to algorithm changes or a simple mistake can damage your author business if you're exclusive to Amazon with everything. You're also missing out on a significant market through the other platforms, including your own store if you want to sell direct, as well as libraries and many international markets. When KDP Select makes sense. If you only have one book and are just starting out, then it's definitely worth using KDP Select for at least the first 90 days. If you have several books in unrelated niches and you want to focus your marketing, then it's also potentially worth doing. KDP Select can be especially effective if your series fits into a niche genre with voracious KU readers or markets dominated by KU books. You can always experiment for a period and then reassess based on your results. If you opt into KU, this means your ebook must be Amazon exclusive only, but you can still publish your print book wide and also your audiobook, unless you choose the exclusive option on ACX, covered further in Chapter 2.8. Going wide. Publishing wide means your ebook and other formats are available on every platform in every country and available to order in libraries. You can also sell direct through your own online store or through crowdfunding and subscription sites. If you have multiple books in a series and you want to make a living with your writing for the long term, then going wide to other platforms with at least some books is the best idea, in my opinion. You'll reach more readers in different markets and build a more diverse and resilient ecosystem. You won't be subject to the many changes that impact KDP Select authors, and you won't have to worry about being targeted by scammers who focus on those in KU. But again, you can start exclusive and expand over time as you are not locked in forever. The advantages of going wide. Publishing wide is often the choice for authors who have multiple books in a series, who are serious about a long-term business as an author, and who want the security of multiple streams of income. Market diversification is the main benefit. Algorithm hiccups at one retailer won't decimate your entire livelihood, and you can make higher royalties from selling direct, especially with ebook bundle deals. You'll be able to reach readers on all the other ebook platforms and have a truly global business. You can also have your ebook in non-exclusive subscription programs like Kobo Plus, as well as libraries. The challenges of going wide. If you sell wide, you need to think about updating your ebook files on multiple stores and market differently to different readers on different platforms. Wide readers often discover ebooks through curated promotions rather than KU binges, and it can be slower to gain traction when you split your focus. If going wide, do you want to go direct to the platforms or use an aggregator? If you decide to go wide, you face a secondary question. Should you upload directly to each platform or use an aggregator? Uploading onto each retailer means higher royalties, more control over metadata, and access to promotions if they are offered. Using an aggregator means one upload can reach dozens of stores, libraries, and subscription services. You'll have consolidated tax paperwork and receive a single payout. There are many sites that sell ebooks across the world, and there is no way to individually publish to them all. Plus, you want to spend your time writing, not updating multiple publishing sites. Aggregators make the process easier, publishing your books to multiple vendors while taking a small percentage of sales in return. As your backlist grows, this can make a big difference to the work involved in updating files. Personally, I publish direct to Amazon KDP and Kobo Writing Life because I want to retain control of my biggest income sources as well as take advantage of their promotions. I use aggregator Draft to Digital for most other stores, including Apple Books and Nook, and I also use Publish Drive for some retailers. I also sell direct to my readers through my own stores at creativepenbooks.com for non-fiction and jfpenbooks.com for fiction and memoir, which gives me the most control and the highest royalties, over 90% for digital products. I have some books in KU, primarily standalone fiction and my British crime thrillers, a good example of a niche genre that is dominated by KU books. I also keep my translations in KU, as I don't want the overhead of marketing wide in languages I don't actively use. And I also publish my mum's sweet romances as Penny Appleton, and those books are in KU since we do minimal marketing. I have a large backlist, so it makes sense to have books available to different types of readers in different places. Remember, your distribution decisions aren't permanent. Many authors adopt a hybrid mindset, moving books between exclusive and wide distribution based on strategic goals. You have to decide what works best for your books and your publishing process at different stages of your career. What's right for one author might be completely wrong for another. What works for one book or series may be completely different for another. The important thing is to make an informed choice that aligns with your specific goals and circumstances and revisit those decisions over time. 2.6. How to self-publish an ebook. The main sites for ebook self-publishing are Amazon KDP, Kobo Writing Life, Barnes & Noble Press, Google Play Books, and Apple Books. The main ebook aggregators are Draft to Digital, which acquired Smashwords in 2022, Publish Drive, and Streetlib. You don't need to use all these companies, and they all offer different terms, so do your research and decide what's best for you. You can also sell ebooks direct from your own store and use BookFunnel to deliver the files seamlessly and handle customer support. Selling direct is covered in more detail in Chapter 2.10. You need the same information and files for each of the platforms, and they have a similar set of fields, even if they look and feel slightly different. None of the platforms require programming or any kind of deep technical ability. If you can use Google and MS Word, you can self-publish your ebook. If you feel like you are technically challenged or want more help, then consider Draft to Digital. They offer self-publishing with support and can help you through the process, even as you keep the control and rights to your books. There is no upfront payment and they take a percentage of sale, so they only make money when you do. The best way to learn is to set up an account on your platform of choice and have a go. If you have all the relevant information ready, it shouldn't take too long to get your book out into the world. Information needed to publish an ebook. Here are the main fields you need to fill in when self-publishing. Some of these are the same regardless of format, and others will change. Language. As a reader of this book, most of your books will probably be in English, but I've also self-published in French, German, Italian, and Spanish. Indie authors are moving into translation as new markets open up, plus many authors are now self-publishing from other countries. Book title. Enter the exact title as shown on your cover. Some authors used to stuff keywords into the title field, for example adding a phrase like paranormal romance with a noir detective twist after their book title. Even if some traditional publishers still get away with this, indie authors have been penalised for it, so if it's not on the cover, don't include it. You can change your title if you want to rebrand books later, as I did with my first novel, Pentecost, which I later rewrote and republished as Stone of Fire. Subtitle. Optional. More often used for non-fiction books, the subtitle may contain some of the keywords discussed in Chapter 2.3. Make sure your subtitle appears on your cover as well. Series title and volume. Books in a series are linked together on the online stores, and customers are notified at the end of one book about others in the series. This is a powerful feature for selling more books once readers discover and enjoy your work, so definitely use it. You can also use series for non-fiction in order to group books for a similar audience. For example, my non-fiction books for authors are linked as craft and business books to help readers find them. Unlike the title and subtitle, you do not need to include the series title on your cover in order to add it to your ebook information. Edition number. If you substantially update a book over time, you can use different edition numbers. This is particularly relevant for non-fiction books that need regular updating to stay current. Author and contributors. This is your author name, which may or may not be your real name. I publish under Joanna Penn for non-fiction and J.F. Penn for fiction. I also publish my mum's books under Penny Appleton. The names used here can be different from your legal name, which is held at the account level per platform. You can also add co-authors, translators, editors and other parties here if you want to credit them. But in this case, an editor is someone who has, for example, organised an anthology collection. It's not usual to include a developmental or copy editor in this field. Sales description, as covered in Chapter 2.3. Publishing rights. For your own books that you have not licensed to a publisher, select I own the copyright and I hold the necessary publishing rights. Public domain works are those out of copyright. For example, you could publish an edition of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, as it's out of copyright. But it's likely that one of the standard versions would sell better, and it's available for free everywhere anyway, so many sites will try to dissuade you from this kind of publishing. Primary audience. You need to indicate whether the book is sexually explicit. There is also an option to add an age range for your book, something mainly used for children's books. Primary marketplace. On Amazon, you can choose which global store, for example the United States or the United Kingdom, you expect the most sales from. This will determine the currency that all other currencies are based on. Categories and keywords. Pick the categories and keywords you chose in Chapter 2.3. You can always change these. Pre-order. You can select a date in the future when the book will publish and make the book live now so people can pre-order and buy in advance. Some platforms will let you have up to a year in advance for pre-orders. This is particularly good for books in a series, as readers can order the next one as they finish the last. Make sure you deliver the book on time, or you can be penalised by the stores and not allowed to use the feature for a period. If you don't want to do a pre-order, just select I am ready to release my book now. Manuscript. Upload your manuscript EPUB file here. You can upload it later for pre-orders or upload a new updated file if you need to make changes. The ability to upload new files whenever you like is a real benefit of self-publishing, as inevitably you miss something or want to update back matter at some point. Ebook cover. Upload your book cover in JPEG or TIFF format. Some platforms have design tools and templates if you need help. AI-generated content. If you've used AI in your creative process for the text, cover or translation, many platforms now require disclosure. Amazon KDP has a mandatory AI content disclosure field where you must declare AI-generated elements. Some authors worry about this, but I've always declared my usage, even before it was required, and have not found it an issue. The question is, did you use AI tools in creating text, images, or translations in your book? If you click Yes, you'll be presented with a more granular selection for each category. For example, minimal usage for text with significant edits. I generally use AI tools for text and images with a lot of editing, and some for translation, which is why I consider myself an AI-assisted author. More detail on this in Chapter 4.2. Ebook Preview. Once you've entered all the details, you can preview the file and check for any issues. Sometimes you might get spelling errors for review, and in some cases you'll need to submit a new file. ISBN. An ISBN, International Standard Book Number, is the number that the book industry has used for many years to identify books in their computer systems. You don't need to use an ISBN for your ebook, as all the sites have options to use free ones, and Amazon uses their own ASIN for Kindle books. But if you have your own ISBN, you can enter one here. In some countries, ISBNs are free, but in others they are a paid product, so check your country-specific details. You can use the same ISBN for all ebooks that are the same book and the same format. For example, you would use the same ISBN for all EPUB files on each store, but a paperback would have a different ISBN, and so would a hardback. For more detail on ISBNs, check out this article from the Alliance of Independent Authors at thecreativepenn.com/ISBN. Publisher. Optional. This can be your company name or an imprint name that you decide on, or you can just leave it blank. Readers don't generally shop by publisher, and you don't need an imprint or a company to self-publish. KDP Select Enrollment or Kobo Plus on Kobo Writing Life. This is optional. If you opt in for KDP Select, you cannot publish your ebook anywhere else, whereas Kobo Plus is a non-exclusive subscription program, so you can publish on other platforms too. For more about KDP Select, see Chapter 2.5. Territories. If you hold all the rights and you have not signed a contract with a publisher, just click All Territories, Worldwide Rights. If you're traditionally published in some territories, you may be able to self-publish in others. For example, if you only licensed your rights to a publisher for North America, US and Canada, then you can self-publish everywhere else in the world. In this case, you can select individual territories and deselect the ones you have licensed elsewhere. Pricing, royalty, and distribution. Most of the stores have country-specific pricing, and it's well worth setting these individually instead of relying on automatic exchange rate calculation. For example, if you price at $4.99 and just leave it to automatically calculate for GBP, then readers in the UK might see £3.21, which is an odd price. It's best to change the UK price to £2.99 or £3.49, which is a price that readers are more used to seeing. Amazon has specific price bands for royalties, so you need to price between $2.99 and $9.99 if you want 70% royalty. If you're pricing below or above that, you only receive 35% royalty. Other stores do not have these restrictions. You can change the price anytime, so start with a standard price for your genre and change it later if it's not working for you. There is a delivery charge shown on the pricing area on Amazon KDP. This will usually be small for most books, but if you have a lot of images, this could be significant. Check the delivery charge, and if it's over 10 cents, consider what you can do to reduce it. For example, you may be able to compress images. There is also a digital VAT section in pricing for some countries. If you publish through the stores and distributors, they handle this for you. If you sell direct, you need to handle it yourself. More on that in Chapter 2.10. Finalize and submit. When you have everything ready, select the option to save and publish or submit for pre-order. The ebook will go through processing, and usually within 4 to 24 hours, it will appear on the online bookstores. 2.7. How to self-publish a print book. I self-published my first book back in 2008 when I was living in Australia and training to be a professional speaker. This was before the Kindle was available outside the US, before ebooks and print-on-demand and digital audio became mainstream. It was even the early days of social media and mobile commerce. A print book was really the only option, and so I did a short run with a local printer. I paid a considerable amount of money to print 2,000 books. I thought they would fly off the shelves, make me loads of money, and change people's lives. I made it onto national TV and radio, but I only ended up selling about 100 books. I took the rest to the landfill, because later that year I discovered ebooks, print-on-demand, and internet marketing, which made everything so much easier and more cost-effective. These days, I'm passionate about producing high-quality print books that my readers love, but in a way that is sustainable and profitable for me too. In Chapter 2.1, I gave an overview of the various formats, and in this chapter I'll go into more detail about additional elements you need for printing. Print run or print-on-demand, POD. Most authors and even small publishers now use print-on-demand for selling books online through the retailers and even for direct stores. I use Amazon KDP Print for Amazon stores, Ingram Spark for wide print distribution into bookstores and libraries, as well as BookVault for printing my Kickstarter special editions and the books sold through my Shopify stores, creativepenbooks.com and jfpenbooks.com. Some authors also use Lulu, Blurb, or Barnes & Noble Press, and you can use aggregator draft to digital if you prefer. Some successful indie authors with established distribution and a large audience prefer to do a print run and then sell direct. Each book ordered will be cheaper, but you need to store them and ship them, or use a drop shipping service, which adds more cost and workload. This kind of physical distribution business is rare in the indie community, so I won't cover it here. Instead, we will focus on print-on-demand options. Most services offer setup for free or for a small fee, and then take a percentage of the sale when a book is sold. Some sites charge a fee to change the files, while others are free, or you can get discounted rates with some author memberships. If you want the widest distribution for your books, then the Alliance of Independent Authors recommends using KDP Print for Amazon only. Don't select extended distribution when you publish there, then publish on Ingram Spark for access to bookstores, libraries, and global stores. What about quality? The main criticism of print-on-demand books used to be about quality, but these days the major companies offer excellent quality. Many publishers now use the same print-on-demand services as indie authors, and there is an increasing emphasis on special editions and high-quality print options, which you can access through BookVault and other specialty printers. Self-publishing a print book. Many of the fields from the previous chapter on how to self-publish an ebook are relevant for print, but you need a few extra specific things. Trim size. I use 5 by 8 inches for my paperback and hardback books, and I use 6.14 by 9.21 for large print editions. Once you've chosen a trim size, stick with it for related books, so your series looks consistent and professional grouped together on a shelf. Interior type. Choose black and white or full colour printing, then choose white or cream for your paper colour. I mainly use black and white for my interior, with cream paper for fiction and white for non-fiction, which is the traditional choice within the industry. The two papers have different widths, so changing your mind about the colour will affect the width of your spine and may require tweaks from your cover designer. If diagrams or photos are critical for your book, you might need to switch to colour, but remember, this significantly increases your unit cost. Because of the additional costs, I include colour photo pages only in special editions. Interior print file. This is your book in print-ready PDF format. As with your ebook files, you can produce this yourself or you can hire a professional. You can use Vellum or Atticus for print formatting as well as ebooks. You can also get free templates from the various print-on-demand services. You can find formatting options at thecreativepenn.com/formatting. Cover file. A cover for a print book includes the front, back and spine. The spine size is calculated from the paper type and the number of pages, which in turn is based on the size of the book, which font and font size you use, and other interior design decisions. The back of the book usually has the sales description, your author bio, and your author picture, if you want to use one, as well as your website. There should also be space for a barcode, which can be generated by the print-on-demand service, or your designer can add it. You publish globally when you use print-on-demand, so don't include a price on your cover, since the book will sell in multiple currencies and will change over time. You can choose a matte or glossy finish on your book. I prefer matte, but you can always try both as a test and decide which you prefer. Some colours will look different depending on the type of cover you choose. Once you upload the interior and the cover, the print-on-demand service will run some checks. It's common for there to be errors at this stage, so fix up the problems and resubmit the files. ISBN. While many authors skip using ISBNs for ebooks, you need them for print. You can use free ISBNs issued by the print-on-demand services, but the Alliance of Independent Authors recommends that you purchase your own. ISBNs are issued in each country by different companies, for example Bowker in the US or Nielsen in the UK. The cost will vary, with some countries, like Canada, issuing them for free, while they can be pricey elsewhere. For more detail on ISBNs, check out this article from the Alliance of Independent Authors, thecreativepenn.com/ISBN. Distribution channels. On KDP Print, this is separated into two sections, Amazon and Expanded Distribution, which includes libraries and academic institutions, bookstores and online retailers. If you choose to use both KDP Print and Ingram Spark, then only complete the top section of this page and use Ingram Spark for expanded distribution. This gives you the best of both worlds, and you can offer discounts to bookstores and libraries. Pricing, discounts, and returns. Based on all the options you've chosen and the layout of your files, the calculated cost of printing will be displayed. You can then add the price you want to sell the book for, which gives you a calculated profit. I usually set a price so I make at least $2 to $3 profit per print book. If you want to make more money, increase the price. It's your choice. You can never lose money on KDP Print as they have no returns and all the costs are included. If you use returns on Ingram Spark, you could owe money at some point, so personally I don't allow returns. However, some authors use returns and higher discounting to sell more effectively into bookstores. On Ingram Spark, you will need to set a wholesale discount, usually 40 to 55%. Categories. You need to choose BSAC categories for your book. Ingram Spark also has thema codes and regional codes, so complete all the fields that are appropriate. Large print. Select if applicable. Submit your files for processing and the platform will run some checks. It's normal to get some errors here, so just redo the files and upload again. Once your book has been approved, and this may take a few days or longer depending on the platform, order a physical proof copy to check the formatting. I'm always thrilled to open up a parcel with the first copy of a new book. The beauty of print on demand is that you can continue to improve your book over time. If you need to make subsequent changes to your books once they're live, remember you can always upload new files. This is free on some services and costs a fee on others. Print books still represent a significant portion of the market, especially for non-fiction, and having your book available in multiple formats will help you reach the widest possible audience. So take the time to create a quality print book. Your readers will appreciate it. 2.8. Audiobook options. Audiobooks have evolved from a niche format into an essential component of any successful author's publishing strategy. What was once considered an optional extra has become a core format that readers expect alongside ebooks and print. The audiobook market has experienced remarkable growth, with the Audio Publishers Association reporting 10 consecutive years of double-digit expansion off the back of mobile apps, smart speakers and in-car listening, as well as easy-to-use audiobook subscription services. This represents a fundamental shift in how many people incorporate reading into their busy lives. Audiobooks enable multitasking, allowing readers to enjoy books while cooking, exercising, commuting, or tackling household chores. With fewer audiobooks available compared to ebooks or print books, it can be easier for audiobooks to stand out in a crowded marketplace. It's also become easier and cheaper to produce and distribute audio due to the rise of AI narration. Before we get into the details of how to produce your audiobook, let's look at how the marketplace functions so you can decide which choices are right for your book. Different audiobook revenue streams. Understanding the various revenue streams available for audiobooks is crucial for developing your strategy. A la carte retail on an audio app is where listeners buy your audiobook directly through platforms like Amazon and Audible using their credit system, Spotify, Apple Books, Kobo or Google Play Books. Subscription services like Audible, Spotify, Kobo Plus and emerging platforms like 11 Reader are probably the largest segment of audiobook listening now, offering listening hours per month or audiobooks on a credit system, as well as exclusive extras to subscribers. Much like Kindle Unlimited, these models pay authors a percentage of the subscription revenue pool based on listening time or completed titles. Library lending through platforms like Overdrive, Hoopla or Libby can drive significant volume and discoverability, and the author is paid per checkout or per purchase. Many authors now sell audio direct through Kickstarter, Shopify stores and other direct options. The free BookFunnel app has all the functions that audiobook listeners are used to, so you can sell on your own store and let BookFunnel seamlessly deliver your titles, as well as provide customer service. There are also options for advertising revenue by publishing audiobooks on YouTube or podcasts, where the user listens for free and the author is paid by the platform. If you own and control your audiobook rights, you can use any of these revenue options. Exclusive or wide for audio. Ebook exclusivity is covered in Chapter 2.5, but there is also a similar decision when it comes to audiobooks. Audible's ACX publishing platform offers exclusive distribution with a higher royalty rate of 40% on sales through Audible, Amazon and Apple Books. But this is much more restrictive than the 90 days of exclusivity required by Kindle Unlimited. ACX has a 7-year term during which you cannot sell your audiobook elsewhere in audio format. Exclusive audiobooks are eligible for inclusion in the Audible Plus streaming pool, potentially reaching subscribers who might not have spent a credit on your book. Going wide with audiobook distribution means accepting a lower 25% royalty through ACX, but the freedom to distribute and sell in any other ways you choose, as well as take advantage of new opportunities as they emerge. For wide distribution, you can use Spotify for Authors alongside In Audio, previously Findaway Voices, which publishes your audiobook to more than 40 retailers and subscription services, including libraries, and also gives you access to Chirp Books, a discount promotion service. You can also sell direct, publish to Kobo Writing Life, as well as YouTube or podcasts, and pursue all the other revenue options covered above. Going wide gives you greater flexibility to run price promotions, distribute review codes, and experiment with emerging platforms and bundling. When making this decision, consider where most of your income is likely to come from. If you believe the vast majority will come from Audible credits and you don't plan to create sequels or build a wide brand presence, exclusive distribution might maximize your immediate revenue. However, if you're building a long-term author business with multiple books, going wide spreads your risk and future-proofs your catalogue. When I started self-publishing audiobooks more than a decade ago, there was only one option through ACX. So many authors, including me, signed exclusive deals, many with royalty split terms, to make the production cheaper. The narrator did the work for free up front, and then we split the royalty income for at least 7 years afterwards. While this was a good decision back in 2014, the options have expanded so much that I have now bought out most of those contracts and gone wide with audio. 7 years is a long time, and there are so many ways to make money with audiobooks now. Options for narration. Hire a human, self-narrate, or use AI narration. There are now 3 main options for audiobook narration. Each has its advantages and limitations, and your choice will depend on your budget, artistic choices, time frame, and the specific requirements of your book. If you're a regular listener of audiobooks, fiction or non-fiction, you will have a much better idea as to what is important to you. So if you've never listened before, try out a few audiobooks before you invest time and money in a format you don't understand. Hire a human. Selecting the right human voice for your audiobook is a creative decision that can significantly impact how listeners experience your book. Consider expectations and what is standard in your genre. Romance and cozy mystery readers typically expect a warm, intimate delivery, while epic fantasy listeners anticipate a dynamic range and credible character accents. Your book's point of view, POV, is also important. A first-person female character will sound strange if narrated in a deep male voice, and vice versa. Listeners often prefer one narrator voice per series, and consistency builds fan loyalty and encourages higher listen-through rates. Some audiobook narrators have followings of their own, and hiring a top human narrator can amplify your launch and increase your sales. But of course, you will pay the highest rates for narration, and they're often booked many months in advance. Once you know what you're looking for, you can shortlist voices. You might already have a narrator in mind from listening to books in your genre, so just go to their website and look at their rates. You can find narrators through acx.com as well as voices.com and other online narrator marketplaces. Filter voices by gender, age, accent, language, and price bracket, and listen to samples. Some will audition with a chapter of your book, so you can hear whether the voice is a good fit. Your budget will also determine your options. Professional audiobook narrators charge between $150 to $500 per finished hour, PFH. Audiobook narration is usually around 9,000 words per hour. So if your book is 70,000 words, it will be around 8 hours of audio. At $350 per finished hour, you'll pay around $2,800 for the audiobook narration. Rates increase with experience, genre demand, and union requirements, and celebrity or award-winning narrators can command a lot more. You might also need to pay for editing, proof listening, and mastering if not included in the narrator's quote. ACX offers royalty share options that can reduce your upfront costs, but will lock you into sharing net revenue for 7 years. Once you've selected a narrator, effective collaboration and communication is key. Agree on character notes, pronunciations, accents, and pacing before recording begins. Approve a sample to confirm the approach, then stay available for questions during production. After delivery of the files, proof listen and log any pronunciation errors or misreads with timestamps for pickups, a re-recording to correct the file. Make sure the finished files meet the technical requirements, but also respect the narrator as a creative professional performing an adaptation. Top-tier human narration with fine-grained emotional interpretation remains the gold standard for audiobooks, especially for fiction and memoir. Human-narrated audiobooks can be published on any platform and are preferred by many listeners, as well as being eligible for awards. Most of my books are human-narrated, and I've worked with many narrators over the years. The relationship can be wonderfully creative when you find the right voice for your work. However, for many indie authors, budget is a major constraint, and it can take years of sales to reach profitability unless you have an extensive market ready to listen. Self-narrate. I've been narrating my non-fiction, memoir, and short story audiobooks for many years now. And although it's hard work, it's worth learning the skills if it's something you want to develop and you have a lot of books or plan to write them. When I started out, I hired a voice coach and did some training courses. I also have a home audio booth made from a wooden frame and audio blankets, which I'm in now, so I don't need to hire a studio. While there is obviously time and effort needed to produce audio up front, the books are profitable more quickly, and there are lots of easy-to-use tools that can help. I have a voice brand as a podcaster, and my audiobooks expand this, lending more authenticity to the listening experience. For recording and editing, I use Amadeus Pro for Mac, but many people use Audacity. You can also use Hindenburg Narrator for the whole process. I use Hindenburg Narrator for mastering, as it has a one-click output for ACX and in-audio, previously Findaway Voices, which has saved me many thousands of dollars for audiobook mastering. This final step produces files with the right technical settings for the publishing sites and is well worth the investment. AI narration, or digital narration, or using synthetic voices. While AI voices have been around for years, recent advances in the field and acceptance by the various platforms have now made it a mainstream option. The number of voices, accents, and languages expands every week, and the cost of production is much lower than human narration and keeps dropping. Many indie authors are adopting AI audiobook narration, and many traditional publishers are too, with the aim of getting every ebook into audio in all languages. At the time of writing, I've produced several AI audiobooks, including one with my voice clone, Death Valley by J.F. Penn, and even a multicast short story, A Midwinter Sacrifice by J.F. Penn. I've also signed a contract for AI-narrated audio in translation with a traditional publisher, and no doubt the opportunities will continue expanding. The main thing to consider is how will you distribute and sell your AI-narrated audiobooks? If you want to sell AI-narrated audiobooks on Audible, you need to use Audible Virtual Voice, AVV, available through the Amazon KDP dashboard for selected ebooks and countries. If your book is eligible, you'll see a link, Add Audiobook with Virtual Voice, that you can use to produce the audiobook. This cannot be used on any other platform. It is exclusive to Amazon. However, you can produce AI audio in other ways to distribute elsewhere. Spotify for Authors and In Audio, previously Findaway Voices, accepts 2 AI-narrated audiobook options: Google Play AI-narrated books, and also those from 11 Labs. I used 11 Labs to produce my voice clone, and also to do multicast audio, and have found it excellent in terms of options for voices and emotional range. You can also use the files on YouTube, 11 Reader, or to sell direct. 11 Labs also pays narrators for licensing their voices, so it's another way for human narrators to expand revenue streams. Google Play offers auto-narration as a free service that creates an audio edition alongside your ebook, which you can also distribute in the Google Play Books app, as well as through In Audio. Apple Books digital narration provides selected high-quality voices tailored for romance and general fiction, but is only available for select authors and genres. There are also many niche providers emerging that make it easy to create audiobooks, but consider how you will sell your work, as not all platforms accept all kinds of AI-narrated audiobooks. While it is a lot cheaper to use AI narration, it's not just a case of uploading your ebook, selecting the voice and hitting publish. You need to listen through and make any changes, for example, changing pronunciation or intonation, adding pauses and more, depending on your requirements. It's quicker and the timing is in your control, as you don't have to wait for anyone else to work on the files. Obviously, AI narration has limitations. Subtle storytelling and multiple character voices can highlight shortcomings in the technology that pull listeners out of the story, and some listeners will refuse to buy or listen to AI audio. Some retailers and libraries filter or deprioritize AI titles, potentially limiting your reach. Awards committees may deem AI-narrated titles ineligible for consideration. There's also ongoing union pressure and potential reader backlash as the technology continues to evolve. Timing of audio production. In an ideal world, you would publish your book in the main formats, ebook, paperback and audiobook, on the same day. This maximizes your book marketing efforts as readers and listeners can choose the format they prefer. These don't usually cannibalize each other as everyone has their favored way to read. They may even buy several formats. For example, I often get the audiobook and the ebook for non-fiction, so I can switch between the two. However, it's historically been difficult for indie authors to publish the audiobook on the same day as the ebook, primarily because audio was expensive to produce. The author would often take the money from sales of the ebook and roll that into paying for audiobook narration, so it would be created later, if at all. Human narrators also need booking well in advance, and the time to deliver might be weeks or even months. With self-narration and AI-narrated files, you are in control of the timing. I'm narrating this audiobook myself as human me, so I can release it at the same time, especially on my direct store, creativepenbooks.com, as I don't have to wait for the services to approve it. With AI narration, once you work through each chapter and proof the audio, you can publish the files to your chosen platforms. The audiobook market continues to expand, and with the barriers to entry coming down through AI narration, there's never been a better time to get your books into audio format. Whether you choose human narrators, self-narration, AI voices, or a hybrid approach, adding audiobooks to your self-publishing strategy can open up new opportunities for reaching listeners around the world and increasing your revenue. If you want to learn more about audiobooks for authors, including all my tips for self-narration, check out my book, Audio for Authors, Audiobooks, Podcasting, and Voice Technologies. 2.9. How to self-publish an audiobook. Now that you understand your overall options for audiobook publishing, let's go into specifics on what you need to self-publish. Most of the fields are similar, even though the sites have different interfaces. I use ACX for Audible and Amazon, Spotify for authors, and InAudio, previously Findaway Voices, for wide distribution, as well as BookFunnel for selling audio direct. Use the same title, subtitle, author details, series, sales description, categories and keywords as the other formats. Here are some of the other elements to consider. Do you own the rights to your audiobook? If you haven't signed a contract with a publisher, you most likely own the rights to your audiobook. But many publishers license audio alongside ebook and print, so make sure you check your contracts first. Claim your book on ACX and choose a royalty contract type. ACX audiobooks need to be related to ebooks already published, whereas InAudio and Spotify for authors allow you to publish other unrelated audio. On ACX, search by ASIN, Amazon's own identifier, and claim your book, which adds it to your author dashboard. It also pulls through most of the metadata from Amazon. Select whether you want to work with a narrator and go through the audition process on ACX, or upload your own audio files. You will also need to choose the territory. Most indies select World, and then whether to be exclusive for 40% royalty or non-exclusive for 25%, as covered in the previous chapter. Audiobook cover and supplemental material. Audiobook covers are square, usually 3000 by 3000 pixels. While there is no legal requirement to label AI-narrated audio, I add a round sticker on my audiobooks, labeling them as digitally narrated files. You can also add supplemental information in PDF format, for example, photos, charts, graphs, or a workbook. ISBN. Some retailers don't require an ISBN for audio, or they can provide one. I use my own ISBNs. For more detail on ISBNs, check out this article from the Alliance of Independent Authors, thecreativepenn.com/ISBN. Distribution. On In Audio, previously Findaway Voices, you can choose the services you want to distribute with and deselect those you don't want to use them for. I deselect Audible as I use ACX for that, and if you want to distribute directly to Kobo or other services, just deselect them too. Upload your audiobook-ready MP3 files. Each audiobook MP3 file must be a separate chapter and also mastered to adhere to the technical requirements of the platform. These files should also be proofed so you're happy with the quality. If you pay for professional narration, they should provide these files, and if you're producing yourself, you can use Hindenburg Narrator to output files in the right format. For digital narration on In Audio or Spotify for Authors, you need an LPF file from 11 Labs or Google Play Audio. Once you have your production-ready audiobook files, publishing an audiobook is fast and relatively easy, especially once you've done a few. I produce audio versions of all my books and short stories now, and consider it an important part of my body of creative work, as well as a valuable income stream. The options for creation and distribution will continue to expand, so it's an exciting time to be into audio. 2.10. Selling Direct. Selling direct is about transacting directly with your readers and listeners. While you must handle payment processing and customer data, in return you get faster payments, more money per book, and more options for the products you sell. It's an increasingly popular choice for business-minded indie authors. There are three main ways that indie authors sell direct: online from a storefront, via crowdfunding, and through in-person sales. 1. Selling direct online. This option requires you to essentially build an online bookstore, like your own Amazon. Readers buy direct from your store. The payment processor takes a small percentage, and the remaining money from the sale lands in your bank account, usually within days. Automated systems deliver ebooks and audiobooks to reader devices, while print or merchandise orders go to services that handle printing and shipping. Some authors have their own warehouses, allowing them to order in bulk, then ship their own books to customers along with extras. There are simple options that can handle taxes for you, like PayHip and Gumroad, through to more extensive solutions using Shopify or WooCommerce, and social selling like TikTok Shop. There are also specific reports and apps that can handle taxes. Running an e-commerce business requires some setup time and cost, as well as a mindset shift. But once it's up and running, the ongoing maintenance is not significant. I have 2 stores built on Shopify. CreativePennBooks.com for my books for authors as Joanna Penn, and jfpennbooks.com for my fiction and memoir. Both use BookFunnel to deliver ebooks and audiobooks, and BookVault for print. And I offer bundles, special editions, and workbooks that you can't buy anywhere else. I don't hold any stock, and all the shipping is outsourced. 2. Crowdfunding. Most authors use Kickstarter for crowdfunding, which allows you to offer high-quality, limited edition books and merchandise, then place your print order after you receive payment. This removes a lot of the risk of doing higher-priced products, as it's essentially a pre-order, and you know how many books to print once the campaign is finished. Crowdfunding is more effective if you already have readers and fans ready to buy. Even with an audience, it's still a challenge, and many authors fail to meet the minimum sales to fund a campaign. Others are too ambitious and lose money on the project. You also have to factor in costs of production and shipping, freelance services, fees and taxes. You must also be good at project management to fulfill what backers ordered within a timely manner. Personally, I love doing my Kickstarter signed editions with foiling, ribbons, custom end papers, sprayed edges, and other gorgeous print features. I've done 5 Kickstarter campaigns over the last few years, raising over $120,000 for my travel memoir, non-fiction books, and several novels, as well as add-on webinars and consulting. I aim for 2 campaigns per year across different genres, and it gives me a wonderfully creative way to offer gorgeous books to my fans and a bigger chunk of revenue alongside the regular monthly income from my store and the online retailers. Although I found it scary at first and resisted doing a campaign for years, I now find Kickstarter one of my favourite parts of the author business. For more tips on Shopify stores and Kickstarter, including an interview with Kickstarter's head of publishing, check out thecreativepenn.com/sell-direct resources. 3. Selling in person. Many authors focus on selling in person at conventions, fairs, markets, bookstores, and other events. It's labour-intensive and can be a challenge for introverts, but the benefits include connecting with readers and other authors, as well as taking photos for marketing. You can also make a good chunk of cash if you organise your stall well. For lots of tips, I recommend A Book in Hand, Strategies for Optimising Print Book Sales via Signings and Other In-Person Events by Mark Leslie Lefebvre. Selling direct is an addition to the more established ways of selling books on the retailers and through distributors. It can give you more creative and financial freedom, as well as more direct engagement with your readers. But you also have to accept the extra work in setting things up, as well as managing accounting and taxation. It might be a little much if you're just starting out, but it's definitely something to look into once you're more established as an indie author. 2.11. How much does it cost to self-publish? Publishing your book on the main platforms like Amazon KDP is generally free. They take a percentage of the sale, so they earn as you earn. The main costs are in book production and marketing, and the more you involve other people, the more it will cost. You can minimise costs by using tools and software, as well as learning how to do specific tasks yourself or mix and match depending on your requirements. Your purpose shapes your budget. Go back to your definition of success from Chapter 1.1. If publishing your book is a lifetime goal and you want it to be the best it can be, then even a small budget can help you create something truly special. If writing is your hobby and you don't expect to make money with your book, then consider how much people spend on hobbies in general. Any hobby has expenses. Some people drop thousands on golf clubs or camera equipment, so spending some money on your book isn't unreasonable. If you want to run a business as an indie author, then your costs are an investment in creating an intellectual property asset that can make money for you into the future. Of course, your budget will also determine how much you can spend. But the important thing is to do your research and due diligence when it comes to author service companies and freelancers. There are lots of fantastic companies and also lots of sharks. What are the main costs of self-publishing? Editing. A professional editor can help improve your book in many ways. The cost will depend on the kind of edit you want, the level of your writing, how long the book is, how much editing it needs, and the editor you choose. Expect to pay anywhere from $500 to $3,000 for a full manuscript. For more help and links to recommended editors, go to thecreativepenn.com/editors. You can also use Pro Writing Aid software for parts of the editing process. thecreativepenn.com/Pro Writing Aid. Book cover design. Your book cover is your single biggest sales tool, so professional design is money well spent. There are lots of options for free book covers through services like Canva and AI tools. A quality pre-made cover design will be $30 to $60, while fully bespoke covers are usually between $100 and $600. Costs rise for custom illustration or multiple format variants. For more help and links to designers, visit thecreativepenn.com/book cover design. Formatting. Many authors do their own ebook and print formatting with tools like Vellum or Atticus. You own the software after a one-time charge, so your cost per book gets cheaper the more books you create. Hiring a professional formatter is around $50 for ebook only and can be up to $500 for a complex print interior. For formatting options, visit thecreativepenn.com/formatting. ISBNs. ISBN cost varies by country. It's free for Canadians, reasonably cheap for authors in the UK if you buy in bulk, and more expensive for Americans. Many of the publishing services offer free ISBNs, and you don't need them at all for ebooks and audiobooks if you don't want to use them. Print proofs. If you're self-publishing a print book, then order a proof to check the layout. It will be $10 to $20 depending on the size. Audiobook costs. These will vary depending on whether you're hiring a human narrator, self-narrating, or using AI software, as covered in Chapter 2.8. Distribution and platform fees. Publishing your book is free on most of the ebook retailers, audiobook services, aggregators, and also for print on KDP Print. The services usually take a percentage of the sale of each book. There are minor setup costs for Ingram Spark if you want to publish print books wide, and if you sell direct, BookFunnel has an annual cost. Marketing. Once your book is published, you need to decide how to tell readers about it. With millions of books published per year, you can't just upload your book and expect it to sell. I cover lots of marketing ideas in Part 3, and while many of them are free, some of them are paid. You get to choose what you want to do, but you can certainly market your book on a budget. Self-publishing services. If you manage tasks yourself and use software and tools as much as possible, you can keep costs down. If you want help to publish, you can pay for expert freelancers. Make sure you use vetted author marketplaces like Readsy or the Alliance of Independent Authors partner member list. If you want to work with an author services company to handle everything, costs can vary considerably depending on the package, so be careful what you sign up for. Choose a company approved by the Alliance of Independent Authors and check for scams at writerbeware.blog. Self-publishing can certainly be free or cheap, but most successful indie authors invest in editing, cover design, useful software, and marketing activities. You don't have to spend on everything at once. Just take it step by step and research what you need along the way. You can also change things later. Start with what you can afford, focus on creating the best book possible, and reinvest your earnings to grow your author business over time. 2.12. How do you get paid when you self-publish? It's hard to imagine when you're just starting out, but many indie authors make good money from their self-published books. Some make enough for a nice dinner every month. Others are running 6- and 7-figure businesses based around book sales, with every variation in between. So how do you get paid as a self-published author? Let's break it down. Note, I am not an accountant or financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. The basics. Free to publish, percentage to the retailer, and you get the profits. In this model, it's mostly free to put your book up for sale. The retailer handles customer payments, takes a percentage of each sale and any printing or delivery costs, and then pays you around 60 days after the month of sale. The percentage for the author versus the platform varies. For example, Amazon offers a 70% royalty to authors when pricing ebooks between $2.99 and $9.99 and 35% outside that range or for specific regions if the book isn't in KDP Select. Kobo and Apple Books offer 70% royalties across the board, while Google Play offers approximately 70%, although their discount algorithm can make the actual percentage complex. Nook is slightly less at 60%, and if you use aggregators like Draft Digital and others, they take a cut too, leaving you with around 60 to 85% of the sale price depending on which one you choose. The subscription model payment structure works slightly differently. Kindle Unlimited pays based on pages read from a shared monthly fund. The per-page rate fluctuates month to month. Kobo Plus works on a similar pooled payment system, but bases its payments on reader completion percentage and time spent, rather than pages. For print books, the platform calculates the cost to print the book, and you add how much you want to make per book. I usually add at least $2 or $3 profit margin per book. For audiobooks, the revenue is based on credits, sales, subscription, or library borrows, and the payment varies based on the contract you agree to. Check the platform terms and conditions when you publish, as things inevitably change. Selling direct. If you sell direct, you can make more money per book sale and receive the payment faster, sometimes even the same day. But you also have to manage payment processing, taxes, and also pay for the printing of books up front. The cash flow and the business model differs substantially, which is why selling direct, especially print books, is usually an advanced indie author decision. Payment methods and timing. You'll need to add your bank details to the various platforms. They will need your legal name and your bank account name, which may differ from your author names, which are listed separately. Even if you're not running a business as an author, it's a good idea to at least have a separate bank account for your self-publishing activities, as then you can track what's going in and out. Many of the services pay directly into your bank account, while others use PayPal or Payoneer. Some charge fees depending on the country and service. Each of the Amazon country stores pays out separately, and you can add multiple bank accounts so you can have a different one for each currency. I use Wise bank accounts in US dollars, Canadian dollars, Australian dollars, and euro for my various multi-currency income, as well as my UK bank account in GBP. This reduces bank fees and exchange rate differences. I also pay bills out of those accounts for services in different currencies. You can find Wise multi-currency banking at my link, thecreativepenn.com/wise. In terms of timing, if you reach the sales threshold for payments on a platform, you'll be paid monthly, 60 days after the end of the month in which the sales occurred. For example, you will be paid at the end of October for sales in August. Some retailers have different payment cycles. Kobo, Apple and Google Play have slightly shorter cycles, around 45 days, while Ingram Spark can take up to 90 days for print book sales to process through their expanded distribution network. This payment delay is important to factor into your publishing business plan, especially if you're paying for marketing or production costs every month. Other forms of income from your books. Books can create income streams that go beyond book sales. Many non-fiction authors create higher-priced products around the topic of their books, like courses, events, consulting and services. Affiliate income is another option. As noted in my introduction, there are affiliate links in this book for software and services I use and recommend. If you buy through my links, I receive a percentage of the sale at no extra cost to you, and you might even get a discount. Advertising revenue for authors with audiobooks has now expanded through YouTube and podcasting, especially for long-running fiction series. There are lots of ways to make money with your intellectual property assets, and you can find more ideas for multiple streams of income in my book, How to Make a Living with Your Writing. Tax. Every platform will require you to complete a tax questionnaire, all of which have help documentation. This is straightforward for authors in the country where the retailer is based, like US authors on Amazon, but requires more work for international authors. Non-US citizens need to complete a tax form, W8BEN or W8BENE, in order to avoid a 30% withholding tax, which will severely cut into your income. But don't worry, it's not complicated. It's a simple form you'll need to submit, mostly online, every few years. Indie author Karen Inglis has a good overview at selfpublishingadventures.com/tax. If you sell direct, you'll also need to consider sales taxes and VAT reporting and payments. If you receive any income from your books, you'll need to declare it on your tax return. Keep records of all your royalty statements, payment processor reports, and platform tax documents, like 1099s. And if your indie author business grows, consider using bookkeeping software to make year-end processing easier. You might also want to consult with an accountant who understands creative businesses to ensure you're taking advantage of all available deductions. Every country has different tax requirements, so please do your research on what's necessary for your situation and check with a professional as necessary. Reporting and analytics. Most of the platforms produce sales reports that update hourly, daily, or monthly. You can download these reports to reconcile your payments to individual sales, so the entire process is transparent. This regular reconciliation helps you spot reporting errors early, gauge true read-through rates and advertising return on investment, ROI, and provide accurate numbers to your accountant or tax software. If self-publishing is a hobby, then you won't need to worry too much about all this. But if you are running or want to run an author business, understanding the money side is crucial for long-term success. Stay organised from the beginning and learn how the cash flow works, and you'll be in better shape as your business grows. 2.13. After self-publishing. Congratulations! Your book is now for sale on the online stores, hopefully in ebook and print, and maybe even in audio. There are a few key steps to take immediately after publishing before we move on to marketing in the next section. 1. Double-check all your listings. Go to the various platforms and check that your book is there, that the sales description is formatted correctly, and that you're happy with everything. It's also worth buying a copy so you can experience the purchase process as a customer and check what readers will get. You will learn a lot from this step, especially if you're new to self-publishing. If you need to make changes, for example, series spelling or an issue with the cover, or you uploaded the wrong file, fix it as soon as possible before you start marketing. One of the great things about being an indie author is that you can update your files anytime, but catching problems early saves you potential embarrassment and wasted marketing efforts. 2. Claim your book on Amazon Author Central. When you click on an author name on Amazon, you should be directed to an author page with their photo, list of books published, website details, and social media. You set up this page through Author Central at author.amazon.com, where you can claim your book, link editions, and upload extra details to enrich your author page. 3. Create Universal Book Links, UBLs. Amazon has different country stores, and you want readers all over the world to be redirected to their specific store. You can set up one shareable redirection link with booklinker.net or Genius Link or Amazon One Link if you're an affiliate. These services detect where your reader is located and send them to their local Amazon store, rather than, say, sending an Australian reader to the US store. If you publish wide or sell direct, you can set up UBLs at books2read.com or bookfunnel.com. Both services create a page that readers can use to reach their favourite store and shop in their favourite format. Completing this step is particularly important for wide authors, since readers have strong preferences about which store they buy from, and you want to make it as easy as possible for them to purchase. 4. Add your book to Goodreads. Goodreads.com is owned by Amazon, so your book will end up there automatically at some point, but you can also add it manually. Taking control of this process ensures your book information is accurate and complete from day one. Goodreads reviews are incorporated into your Amazon book page data, and they are also an important source of recommendation data for AI systems, increasingly useful for book discoverability. You can set up an author profile on Goodreads and add information about you and your books, which helps readers connect with your entire body of work. 5. Update your author website and social media. If you have an author website, you can set up a dedicated book page for your new release and add the buy links for each store once the book is available. You can also start marketing by adding posts or videos on social media and pinning them to your profile or updating your bio. You can add specific links using Linktree or a similar service. 6. Celebrate your achievement. You've published a book. It's an incredible achievement that many people only dream about. So take a moment to appreciate what you've accomplished before diving into the next steps. Part 3. How to market your book. 3.1. Marketing Principles. If you ask most authors about book marketing, they're likely to grimace, shake their head, and sigh. We became authors because we love to write, but if you want your books to sell, regardless of how you choose to publish, at some point you'll need to embrace marketing as part of your author journey. In this chapter, I'll go through marketing principles that will be useful no matter how the industry changes. But first, let's cover the question everyone always asks. Do I have to do my own marketing? Can't I just outsource it all? There are many people and services you can hire for aspects of book marketing, but consider these questions. What specific area of marketing do you want to outsource? Is it worth doing at all? Is it worth paying for? What return on investment, ROI, are you expecting? Is this service short-term or long-term, and how might that affect your budget? Book marketing is not one thing, so you need to first consider what exactly you want to outsource. For example, setting up and running Amazon ads is a different skill to pitching magazines and podcasts for interviews. You also have to consider whether you even want to start something you might not sustain. Is it worth starting a TikTok channel if you hate making video? Is it worth starting your own podcast when it might be a year or so before your listenership grows to a decent size? Is it worth paying a PR professional to get you interviews in magazines when you're just starting out, you're unsure of your brand, and there is no obvious return on investment? Do you want to keep paying people for months and years? Or could you spend some of that money learning new skills and building your own sustainable marketing strategy? If you want to hire a professional, be specific about the tasks and your budget as well as time frame. For example, run meta ads for 3 months to my first book in my fantasy series, or pitch media outlets for 3 months around my non-fiction self-help book on dealing with anxiety. If you want help with book marketing, you can hire vetted professionals from the Readsy marketplace and find people on the Alliance of Independent Authors partner member list. While I have hired specific people over the years for short-term marketing campaigns, I primarily do my own marketing. Here are some principles that will help you if you choose to do the same. 1. Reframe marketing as creative sharing. Many authors feel that marketing and sales are negative in some way, but that attitude makes the whole thing more difficult. Whether you have a traditional book deal or you self-publish, you have to learn to market if you want to sell books, so it's time to reframe what marketing is. Marketing is sharing what you love with people who will appreciate hearing about it. Marketing is not shouting, "Buy my book," every day on social media, or accosting readers in bookstores or at author events. You should never be pushing anything on those who are not interested. Instead, try to attract people who will love what you do once they know about it. We're readers too, and we all love to find new books to immerse ourselves in, so think about other readers in the same way. If you've written a great story in a genre that you love, why would you ever be embarrassed about promoting it ethically to fans of that genre? If you've written a book on gluten-free weight loss, it's likely that you've achieved success with your method. You're trying to help people, so why wouldn't you want to spread the word? Once you change your attitude, the whole marketing landscape shifts. It becomes far more positive when you're sharing things you love and attracting like-minded people. If you start enjoying marketing and make it a sustainable part of your creative life, you'll find it works a whole lot better and might even be fun. 2. Focus on the reader. Writing is about you. Publishing is about the book. Marketing is about the reader. When we write, we are in our own heads. We're thinking about ourselves. But when we publish and market, we have to switch our heads around to the other side of the equation and consider the person who reads or listens to the book and what they want out of the experience. Step outside your own head and ask these questions. Who is my ideal reader? What emotion or outcome do they crave? What problem am I solving, or what entertainment experience am I providing? The answers will help you with the words and images you use in marketing to attract the right readers. 3. Own your platform. When you write a book, you need to have somewhere to direct people so they can find out information about you and what you write. There are many options for building your home on the internet, but an important consideration is who owns the site you build on. If you use a free site, it's owned by someone else. Whereas if you pay for hosting, you control it. You can back it up and make sure it's always available. This matters because things change over time. Some authors let their publisher build a website for them, but what if you begin working with a different publisher? Some authors just use a Facebook page, but what about when Facebook changes the rules, as they have done several times over the years? Some authors use a free website service, but if that company disappears or gets bought or decides your book isn't appropriate, what happens to your site? If you're serious about writing and selling books for the long term, then consider owning your website. You can do all kinds of other things to market your book, but at least you'll always have somewhere to send people. Equally, it's important to build your own email list of readers who like your books, because again, who knows what will happen in the future with the book retailers or the publishers you use. If you have an email list of readers, you can always sell books, whatever changes come along. You can find the services I use and more tips at thecreativepenn.com/website email help. 4. Build a cohesive author brand. Branding is your promise to the reader. It's the words, images, and emotions that surround your work, and the way readers think of you. Many authors consider using a pseudonym, or different names if they write books aimed at separate audiences. I write under J.F. Penn for my fiction and memoir, and Joanna Penn for my non-fiction for authors. I have different types of books with almost completely different audiences, so I need separate brands. Book cover design also expresses brand and differs by genre. You should have some idea of the books and authors that are similar to yours. Examine their book covers and the colour palette they use, as well as their author websites. What words, images, and colours do they use? What emotional resonance does their brand present? How does it make you feel as a reader? Now try to apply those principles to your own author brand. If you're struggling with brand, don't worry. It will emerge and become clearer over time as you find your voice and attract an audience over multiple books. When I started out, I published everything under Joanna Penn, and eventually split my author brand to make things clearer for readers, as well as myself. But it took 5 books and several years before I understood that that was the right decision for me. 5. Find marketing that fits your personality. Double down on being human. If you want a sustainable career as an author, you need to consider what kinds of marketing you can consistently do over time. You can't fake it or force yourself to do things you hate. Marketing needs to fit with your personality and your lifestyle, and that will differ for everyone. You also need to be personal, and in an age of AI, double down on being human. The more you share authentically, the more people will get to know, like, and trust you, and the more likely they are to want to buy your books. Of course, you have to draw your personal line in the sand. I don't share pictures of my family on social media, and some authors use code names for their children so they can talk about being a parent while still protecting privacy. You also need to know what's best for managing your energy. I'm an introvert, so I find in-person events and group things difficult, and I tend to avoid in-person marketing. I also don't watch video online, so I produce little of it, and I don't do short-form video like TikTok or Instagram Reels. I listen to a lot of podcasts and audiobooks, so audiobook marketing is my primary channel. I have 2 shows. The Creative Penn podcast for writers, which markets my Joanna Penn books, and my Books and Travel podcast, which is for my J.F. Penn side. The shows go out on audio podcast feeds and also onto my 2 YouTube channels. I also like taking photos, so I use Instagram at JF Penn Author and also share on X at The Creative Penn. I share pictures of my travels and what I'm up to for research and my cats, and over time I've become a lot more open about what I like. For example, I'm a taphophile. I enjoy walking around graveyards, and I love ossuaries and crypts, as well as art history and cultural aspects of death and memento mori, remember you will die. It turns out there are many people with gothic leanings like me, and people even send me photos of their favourite graveyards from all over the world now. Sharing details about your interests might not be an obvious path to book sales, but attracting readers slowly over time in an authentic way can underpin a sustainable long-term career. 7. Balance short-term and long-term marketing. New authors often focus on the launch of their latest book, but most indie authors and publishing companies make more money from the backlist, older books with more reviews and a sales history. A book is always new to someone who has just discovered it, and that new book might not be your latest release. Short-term marketing is a good option for new releases, for campaigns like a Kickstarter, or if you want to push a first-in-series book from your backlist to introduce people to your work. These kinds of campaigns usually include some form of paid marketing, which can drive a sales spike that drops once you stop pumping money and energy into it. For most authors, this is not sustainable. Long-term marketing is more about building evergreen assets that drip sales every day. If you want a long-term career as an author, you need to think about building a sustainable baseline income, money that comes in from your books consistently every month without you having to keep paying for it. Successful long-term marketing requires more books on the market, more streams of income, more readers on your email list, and consistent content marketing of some kind. It takes time to build, but is worth the investment if you want a long-term career. The most successful authors combine these two approaches with sustainable marketing strategies. 8. Measure the success of your marketing. If you're not measuring the results of a promotion, how do you know if it worked? Marketing should ultimately result in sales. And if you're self-published, you can measure this easily, as you get daily sales figures from the self-publishing platforms. You can also check your rankings on the stores and take screenshots before and after the promotion to check results. This is why I prefer online marketing to traditional media and PR. If you have a clickable link associated with your promotion, you can track results and understand what works and what doesn't. When I first started out, I had national TV, radio and newspaper coverage, but it had no noticeable impact on my book sales. These days, I can pay for a BookBub ad or email my list with a link and see the resulting direct sales spike. Measure promotion results, rather than basing your opinion on assumptions or ego metrics, likes and comments, rather than sales. Track what matters to your author business: sales, income, profit, email subscriber growth, number of reviews, and use those to guide your next campaign. 9. Build community and collaborate with other authors. Some people say being a writer is lonely, but that is a choice, because there are so many different communities you can join in person or online. You can also build one of your own. People want to belong to something. They want to be part of a group, and together we can achieve more, and the journey will be a lot more fun. I'm a member of the Alliance of Independent Authors, which has a thriving community online and also meets up in person at book industry events. I speak at and also attend lots of conferences, including Author Nation, the biggest indie author conference in the world. I'm also a member of several Facebook groups for writing craft and author business, where I check in every few days to see what's going on. I also have my own community at patreon.com/thecreativepen, where I share behind-the-scenes details about running an author business. Not every group is for every person, of course, so you must find the places that feel right for you. But give things a try, be generous and helpful and a good community member, and you will find author friends. Being part of a community can also lead to marketing ideas and opportunities. For example, collaborating on email newsletter swaps or book recommendations, joint promotions, multi-author bundles and box sets, and cross-promotion on podcasts and social media. Remember, as with writing, marketing gets easier with practice. Start small, be consistent, and focus on the principles that never change, even as the tools and platforms evolve over time. Marketing your book is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process, so take one step at a time and iterate as you go. Experiment to find what works best for your personality and lifestyle, for each book and at each stage of your author journey. Once you choose a strategy, commit to it for the long term, and you'll build an audience and book sales in a sustainable manner. 3.2. Different ways to market your book. I'm often asked, what's the one thing I should do to market my book? Annoyingly, the answer is, it depends. It depends on you and your personality, your book, your budget, your goals and definition of success, as well as market conditions. There is no silver bullet, no magic formula that works for every book and every author every time. Here are some ideas you could use to get started. You can find books and courses on every one of these, so if you're drawn to a particular method, dive deeper, learn more, experiment, and see what works for you. 1. Write more books. If you look at lists of the best-known, best-loved, and richest authors, they generally have a lot of books and have been publishing for many years. We are writers. We write. So it makes sense that the best marketing starts by writing more books. One book is not enough to establish an author career if that's what you want. Even if a single book breaks out and becomes the must-read of a particular year, it doesn't mean that readers will buy the next book from that author. They may not even remember the author's name. But if you have 3 or 4 books that offer the same type of experience, and if a reader reads them all, you're likely to have won a fan who will actively look for your next book. Every time you launch something new, more people have a chance to find out about your work. Every time you write in a new genre or publish in a new format, different kinds of people discover you. Some of them will go on to buy or read or listen to more of your work, join your email list, or support you in other ways. For example, perhaps you found me through my show, The Creative Pen Podcast. Then you downloaded my author blueprint. Then you listened to my craft audiobook, How to Write a Novel. And now you've bought this book. Or perhaps you found my first thriller, Stone of Fire, as a free promotion through BookBub, and then read all the others in the Arcane Thriller series, before supporting my Kickstarter for Book 13, Spear of Destiny. I have a lot of books over many genres written over almost 20 years, so there are many different paths into my body of work, which grows over time as I continue to create. This is definitely my favourite way to market. By producing new work, you will develop an audience over time, as well as finding your voice and increasing your creative self-confidence. You will become a better writer with every book, so the chances of readers loving your work will also increase. You can also experiment with different forms. Try short stories, short non-fiction or novellas, as well as novels and full-length non-fiction or memoir. Once you have enough material, consider putting multiple books together in a box set or bundle. There are so many possibilities. 2. Write multiple books in a series and link them together. Existing customers will buy more books from an author if the new book promises the same experience delivered in previous books, whether they are fiction or non-fiction. This is why series are so powerful. As a reader, there are some authors I pre-order from because I love a particular series, even though I might not read the other books they have. I'm loyal to the series characters, even more so than the author, because I want to know what happens next, and I get an almost guaranteed experience. For non-fiction, there are authors who I trust, and whose books I buy because I know they will be interesting, informative, and inspiring. If a reader discovers and loves your series when you release book 5, they are likely to go back and buy the rest of them, which means more income for you and more satisfaction for the reader. A novel in a series is also faster to write than a standalone title, as you don't have to reinvent the characters and the world. You just need to find your plot and start writing. If you write literary fiction or enjoy writing standalone books, consider the themes that tie your books together, and think of ways to encourage people to move between them. You can create interconnected standalones, for example, books set in the same universe or linked by theme, so recommendation engines connect the dots. Your options expand the more books you write. I have several fiction series, with the main being my arcane thrillers, but I also have standalone stories like Catacomb and Death Valley. For non-fiction, I have books for authors in a series, but I also have a memoir, Pilgrimage, which is a standalone. While it's easier to market books in a series, I certainly understand the creative urge to write all kinds of different things. 3. Optimize your metadata. Metadata is the information about your book, rather than the book itself. It includes your title, subtitle, series title, sales description, keywords, categories, and your author bio. Some platforms also include data points like reviews and sales history, so their recommendation engines understand where your book fits into the ecosystem. We went through this in Chapter 2.3, but metadata is a key aspect of marketing. If you find your marketing efforts aren't getting the results you want, make sure you've made the right metadata choices for your book, and change things over time to keep it fresh. 4. Use different price points, strategic discounting, and value bundles. The more books you publish, the more flexibility you have with pricing. You also won't be so emotionally attached to any individual book, which makes it easier to play with pricing. If you're in Kindle Unlimited for your ebooks, you get 5 free days for promotion every 90 days. If you're wide, you can set the price to free on all other stores and Amazon will price match. My first arcane thriller, Stone of Fire, is free on all ebook stores, which brings people into the 13-book series. You can also use limited time discounts, for example, drop the price to 99 cents and promote the sale, introducing your books to new readers who might be hesitant to try a new author at a full price. You can also use fan pricing and launch pricing interspersed with full-price books, rewarding your most loyal readers while still capitalizing on launch momentum and algorithms. If you have books in a series, you can sell bundles at a great price, giving the reader value and putting more money in your pocket, especially if you sell direct. 5. Build an email list by offering a reader magnet. Then stay in touch. Make sure you have a link at the back of your book to a free reader magnet, something that the reader wants, if they give you their email address. For my non-fiction, I offer my free author blueprint ebook at thecreativepenn.com/blueprint. For fiction, I offer a free thriller at jfpenn.com/free. The call to action for both is in the back of every book, and also on my websites, podcasts, and social media, and people sign up for these lists every day. Once people are on your email list, stay in touch. Let them know about new releases and giveaways and draw them closer to you by sharing personal photos, book recommendations, or behind-the-scenes research. If you're unsure what to email about, join a few successful author lists and see what they're doing. There are lots of email services. I use and recommend Kit, previously ConvertKit, at thecreativepenn.com/kit. 6. Build a street team or ARC team. This group is a subset of your main email list and is made up of readers who want advanced reader copies, ARCs, and who are happy to promote, write reviews, and share on social media. Some authors have incredibly active ARC teams with extra swag and giveaways as well as events. But you can keep it simple. I have an automated email inviting people to my pen friends list that goes out after 6 months on my fiction email list. They get early access to some new books and also free backlist books, and many of them write reviews. You can give away ebooks with watermarks through BookFunnel if you want to protect the files. 7. Ask for reviews to build social proof. You don't need an ARC team to get reviews. You can just ask readers by including a call to action at the back of your books. For example, if you enjoyed the book, please leave a review on the store where you bought it. Thank you. Many authors obsess about getting reviewed in traditional media, but it's more important to build up social proof on the online stores or on Goodreads, owned by Amazon. This evidence of reader approval will help you get promotions. For example, BookBub requires a certain number of reviews and a high average review rating before accepting a book for promotion. Free books are the easiest to get reviews on, so if you're struggling to get started, put your book on a free promotion and do some advertising to get downloads. 8. Use social media. There are lots of different social media platforms, and each has its own rules and tactics, as well as its own demographic. You cannot be successful on all of them, so focus on one or two, learn the right skills for that platform, test out different content, and lean into what works. The rise in beautiful print editions, particularly for fiction, has benefited from the trend in social media video, with TikTok videos driving many books up the bestseller lists. While social media marketing can be free in terms of money, you will certainly pay with your time. All the platforms reward regular content and engagement, which works for some authors but not for others. There are authors who use social media effectively to drive massive sales and success online, but they put a lot of work in or they hire people to help. Find successful authors in your niche to follow and model what they do if this is an area you want to focus on. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of social media and use it more to prove I'm a human, sharing photos of my life and book research on Instagram at JFPennAuthor. I also use X at The Creative Penn as a news platform where I learn about new technology and find content to share on my podcast. I also have Facebook pages, Pinterest boards, and a LinkedIn profile, but I'm not particularly active on any site. 9. Use content marketing. Content marketing is my favourite form of marketing, and I've built my business around it. It's essentially offering free content in your preferred format that educates, inspires, or entertains, and attracts people who might also be interested in buying your books, products, and services. For non-fiction, I've been blogging and podcasting at thecreativepenn.com since 2008. I also have a YouTube channel at The Creative Penn. For fiction, I have free short stories, audio and video on YouTube at JFPennAuthor, and I also have my books and travel podcast and blog. This content can also be a stream of income. For example, YouTube videos can be monetized with ads, Podcasts can include sponsorship, and Substack newsletters can offer a paid tier alongside free information. Providing quality content over time builds up your site and you personally as an authority and trusted source in a niche. The content remains on your site, and you can build up a body of work that continues to attract people over the long term. Content marketing often requires longer-form pieces than social media. I create podcast interviews and episodes of 30 minutes to an hour weekly, instead of multiple 30-second videos on social media every day. No one has time for both things, so choose what suits you and your personality. To help you decide, ask yourself this question: what do you currently consume? I walk a lot and listen to podcasts, and I rarely scroll social media, so it makes sense for me to focus on audio-first content marketing. I also travel and take a lot of photos for book research, which I enjoy sharing on my blog and podcast at booksandtravel.page. If you watch a lot of TikTok videos, or you love scrolling on Pinterest or reading articles on LinkedIn, then your daily preferences should give you a hint as to what would suit you as a creator. 10. Pitch for podcast or YouTube interviews. If you don't want to build up your own content marketing site, you can pitch podcasters, YouTubers, or bloggers with your book and appear on their platforms. Do your research to find shows that will be a great fit for your work. Then send an effective pitch to a few specifically targeted creators. These interviews are never about selling your book. They are all about giving incredible value to the audience, which will make them want to find out more and naturally lead to book sales. Include 5 bullet points in your pitch about what exactly the audience will find useful, and make it easy for the host to understand why you're a good fit. This targeted approach will lead to much greater success than sending hundreds of pitches with a basic press release about your book. 11. Pitch other media for interviews. Traditional media still has significant reach and authority, although it's usually more for brand building than direct sales. Start by pitching local newspapers, TV and radio, as they are often looking for local success stories and are easier to access than national media. Research which journalists cover your topic or genre at each outlet, and look for those who have written similar stories. As with podcast pitches above, you need a hook beyond, "I wrote a book." Connect your pitch to current events, trends, or a unique personal journey. Make sure you have a professional headshot, book cover image, short and long bio, and sample interview questions ready to send. 12. Try paid advertising, pay per click. A lot of marketing takes time rather than money, but you can get traffic and sales more quickly if you use paid ads. The most popular and effective pay-per-click ads for authors are Amazon advertising, Meta ads for Facebook and Instagram, as well as BookBub ads. Choose which audience to market to, either with keywords or target audiences. Set a budget, design the images, and let the ads run, paying per click or per impression. You'll need a period of testing and time to monitor and adjust ads, and you may find you need to refresh the images or ad copy over time. Most successful indie authors use paid advertising of some kind to drive traffic to their books, but it's certainly not necessary. You need patience to learn the specific platform, test, monitor, analyse and adjust ads. Or you can outsource your advertising, paying someone to run them as well as paying advertising platform costs. This approach is most effective when you have multiple books in a series, as cost per click can be expensive if you only have 1 or 2 books. I use Amazon ads for some non-fiction books and rely on auto ads using Amazon's own algorithm to manage them. I also use Meta and BookBub ads as part of short-term campaigns at launch or for promotional spikes. 13. Try paid advertising. Email newsletters. The most popular email marketing newsletter services are BookBub featured deals and FreeBooksy, Bargain Booksy and other options run by written word media. With these services, you pay to submit your book for a genre promotion, and they email their targeted list of readers with a link to your book, along with many others. Hopefully, you get enough sales to justify the cost. To be clear, you are buying a place on an email blast to readers. You are not buying a list of email addresses. Never do that, as it violates anti-spam regulations. 14. Try local in-person marketing. While online marketing can be effective for reaching readers all over the world, in-person marketing can be rewarding for connections with readers and other authors, and can result in significant sales. In-person marketing might include speaking at a local networking event or school assembly, literary festival, book club or library, as well as having a bookstall at conventions, conferences, local fairs and markets. Investigate options in your area and balance the costs of setting up a stall and ordering physical stock with the potential for income and local marketing reach. 15. Collaborate with other authors on joint promotions or events. Even the most prolific authors can't satisfy their readers alone, so it's good to develop a network of authors in your genre or those with a crossover audience. You can help promote each other's books and do joint events and promotions together to keep readers reading in your niche. You'll also make author friends, and this support is critical for long-term success. There are lots of options for collaboration, from co-writing books, cross-promotion in email newsletters, to multi-author bundles, joint online launch parties, and social media sharing. If you're new or want to expand your network, BookFunnel offers different kinds of group promos. I collaborate with authors in lots of ways, and often build relationships and attract opportunities through my podcast interviews. I've co-written fiction and non-fiction books, appeared on other shows, promoted authors to my email lists and on social media, and also collaborated on joint author in-person events. I've also done bigger paid ad campaigns. In 2014, I was part of the Deadly Dozen, where 12 mystery and thriller authors hit the New York Times and USA Today bestseller lists with our multi-author ebook box set. We all ran different promotions as well as jointly paying for advertising, and we sold over 100,000 ebook bundles and attracted many readers to our email lists. If you want to collaborate with other authors, be generous and helpful, and you will attract opportunities. Volunteering at author conferences can also be a great way to build your network. Marketing is an ecosystem. It takes time to build out a sustainable marketing approach that keeps your book selling every month over many years. You can pay for advertising right now, and you will drive traffic to your books and hopefully sell some, but as soon as you stop paying, the sales will drop off. The best approach is to think of marketing as an ecosystem made up of multiple aspects around you and your creative work. What do you enjoy doing? And what kinds of marketing can you sustain over time? The most successful authors build marketing into their regular routine rather than treating it as a separate, painful task to check off as required for each book launch. Marketing is about connecting people with your books. When you genuinely help people find stories they'll love or solutions to their challenges, marketing becomes less about self-promotion and more about valuable service. it's an important part of being a successful self-published author. Part 4. Self-publishing in an age of generative AI. 4.1. The artisan author in an age of AI. When I started self-publishing almost 2 decades ago, the indie revolution was just beginning to rise on the back of new technology. 2007 saw the launch of the Amazon Kindle and the Apple iPhone, as well as ebooks, digital audio, and print on demand. It was also the early years of Facebook and Twitter, as well as blogging and podcasting. So authors were able to reach readers all over the world with online marketing and break free from traditional media channels. It was a time of disruption, and many in publishing resisted the shift, saying that ebooks would never take off, that self-publishing platforms were just vanity presses for failed authors, and that social media and mobile commerce were just fads. Technology takes time to get wider adoption, and I even remember saying to my husband Jonathan that I would never get an iPhone, as I was happy with my little Nokia. I only needed to text after all, so I didn't need any of those app things. But as I explored these tools, I became increasingly excited as I realised that technology was going to help me achieve my creative and financial goals, and that I could surf the wave of change into a new career as an indie author. I've been feeling the same excitement in the last few years as the rise of generative AI has expanded our options even more. The tools amplify my abilities, augment my creativity, and extend what I am capable of. I laugh more when I collaborate with ChatGPT and Claude. I'm in a state of flow more often, and my creative spark is fired up even more. Of course, the use of AI tools continues to be a polarising topic within the author community, and that's understandable. The companies who developed generative AI tools are relying on a fair use argument for original training on copyright data. This is being challenged in various court cases in several jurisdictions, but even if the eventual outcome leads to some kind of settlement, these tools are here to stay. To be clear, you don't need to use AI tools to be a successful self-published author. Everyone must make their own choice. But if you're even a little AI curious, keep listening. The AI-assisted artisan author, or A4. In May 2023, I introduced the concept of the AI-assisted artisan author, A4, on my site, The Creative Pen, and it remains my guiding principle. While you can now use AI tools to generate a book a day, with AI covers, AI narration, and AI translation into multiple languages, that is not something I'm interested in doing. Being an artisan author is about bringing intentional craftsmanship to every aspect of your work. You create books that come from your ideas and story seeds, that are written in your voice, that you edit and refine until you're happy with the result. You work with AI tools along the way, but only in service to your creative vision and at your direction. They are collaborative tools, but you drive them, and every creative decision is yours. An artisan author focuses on the personal touch, leaving handprints, as tech journalist Kevin Roose says in his book, Future Proof: 9 Rules for Humans in the Age of Automation. The metaphor is based on pottery, comparing a mass-produced factory mug that is perfectly functional, exactly the same as the others, that you buy cheaply for a specific use, and that of an artisan potter, whose work might be imperfect but has more personality, and perhaps even has a thumbprint left in the clay. The latest AI models can generate many thousands of well-written words every day, but as authors who care about our own creative work, we're not competing on the speed of output. You cannot compete with the machines. They will only get better and faster. But that's okay, because you don't need to. Double down on being human and focus on what no machine can ever replicate: being you. Guidelines for AI usage. At the time of writing, there are outstanding legal cases around whether training AI models on copyright works is allowable under the legal principle of fair use. But however this is eventually resolved, the AI tools are not going away. So authors and the publishing industry, as well as other industries, are now finding ways to use the tools in an acceptable manner. Wiley was one of the first traditional publishers to release guidelines for authors using AI in early 2025. Wiley welcomes the thoughtful use of AI tools. When used responsibly, authors can maintain high editorial standards, safeguard intellectual property and other rights, and foster transparency with readers. Their extensive guidelines, prepared in collaboration with AI tools ChatGPT and Claude, go into all kinds of ways authors can use AI tools, without using them for the final publishable words of a manuscript. They provide suggestions for how to use AI tools for familiar steps of the writing process, like research and analysis, content development, review and editing, and marketing. They also provide guidance on new considerations that come with these tools, such as effective prompting, safe and responsible use, quality and fact-checking, dealing with hallucinations, copyright concerns, image use, disclosures, and more. In summary, they say, authors may only use AI technology as a companion to their writing process, not a replacement. As always, authors must take full responsibility for the accuracy of all content and verify that all claims, citations, and analyses align with their expertise and research. Before including AI-generated content in their material, authors must carefully review it to ensure the final work reflects their expertise, voice, and originality while adhering to Wiley's ethical and editorial standards. Given that these guidelines are from a respected traditional publisher, this should give authors some comfort about where the lines are being drawn. The Alliance of Independent Authors, ALLI, also has guidelines for ethical AI usage which state, ALLI supports the use of AI as a tool for ethical creators, not as a creator itself. The guidelines explore the various issues and controversies around AI, but also say, ALLI recommends that authors bring a spirit of curiosity to their consideration of AI and be willing to explore the potential of AI in their work as writers and publishers. As an independent author, you get to decide where your lines are and what you're comfortable using. You don't have to use AI tools for anything, or you can go all in, or fall somewhere in between, as I do. Copyright. In terms of copyright, check your jurisdiction for what applies. In the United States, the Copyright Office will not register material generated entirely by an algorithm because it lacks the necessary human authorship. Portions that you curate, edit, or meaningfully arrange may still qualify, but you must document your contribution and describe it when you file the registration. In the United Kingdom, Section 9(3) of the Copyright Designs and Patents Act 1988 recognises computer-generated works, and the right belongs to the person by whom the arrangements necessary for the creation of the work are undertaken, the prompter or project lead. Essentially, if you are AI-assisted, using AI tools as part of your process, then your work remains your copyright. If you prompt and publish, this is AI generation rather than assistance and is not your copyright, at least under current US law. I had an in-depth conversation with attorney and author Alicia Wright on this topic on the Creative Penn podcast, which you can find at thecreativepenn.com/fair use. Disclosure and labelling. Disclosing your use of AI is a personal choice, except where platforms require it as part of their terms of service, like Amazon KDP and Kickstarter. I have always been open about my usage as an AI-assisted artisan author, and I'm glad that more authors and publishers are embracing this approach. After all, I see no reason not to be honest about ethical use of the AI tools. I first became interested in the impact of AI for writers in early 2016, when AlphaGo beat Lee Sedol at the Chinese game of Go. Move 37 was considered creative, and the game has subsequently been transformed with human and AI collaboration. In 2020, I wrote a book on the topic, Artificial Intelligence, Blockchain and Virtual Worlds, the impact of converging technologies on authors and the publishing industry. And much of what I wrote about is only now being discussed in the mainstream. I've interviewed AI experts on the Creative Penn podcast for years, as well as doing solo episodes on how I'm using AI. I also share tutorials and insights within my community at patreon.com/thecreativepen. I've been open and honest about my usage of AI tools, including disclosures on my books and copyright notification for images, and I've always labelled my AI-narrated audiobooks on the cover as well as in the description. When Amazon KDP introduced disclosure of usage, I even went back and updated my older books. I'm always happy to disclose my usage because I use AI to assist, enhance, and augment my creative work. I don't prompt, generate, and publish. Many authors are worried about AI-related hate, which mainly comes from other creators rather than readers. I've certainly had my share of this, and it ebbs and flows over time. This is nothing new, and always happens in times of technological change. In the early days of digital self-publishing, indie authors were ridiculed, shamed, and put down. We were told our work was inferior, that we were inferior, that our books were a tsunami of crap that would overwhelm the publishing industry, that we should all stop writing, stop publishing, and leave books to the real authors, those chosen by agents and publishers. But those days passed, and now self-publishing is mostly recognised as a creative choice and a valid business model. The days of us versus them shifted as the publishing lines blurred, and many authors moved into a hybrid model, licensing some rights to publishers while going indie for other books and formats. This shift has started for AI usage in recent months, as even the most basic tools like Microsoft Word and Google Docs incorporate aspects of AI. And publishers, author organisations and creators demonstrate ways to use it ethically and responsibly to create better books and expand marketing capabilities. Double down on being human. While I clearly embrace the responsible use of AI tools as part of my creative process and my author business, I absolutely recognise that an unchecked flood of AI-generated books and other content represents a threat to human authors. The quality of the models and the standard of writing and storytelling improves every month, so these books will no doubt be objectively better than many human-written books at some point. But that doesn't matter. I am not competing with the machines, or those who use the machines to generate to market. I am a flawed human with lots of ideas and strange quirks and things I want to make in the world. I am a creator, and I am just going to keep creating. I'm also going to use my humanity in my work and my marketing, and I recommend you do as well. Here are some ideas. Show your face or your voice as much as you can, as body language, voice intonation, and the elements of how you communicate physically are part of what makes you human. Be more personal in your emails, social media, and with your community. Write more naturally. Share pictures of yourself, your garden, or your cats, or whatever is personal to you, but still gives you enough of a boundary. Give people an insight into aspects of your human life beyond your words. Make beautiful books and physical products. Authors and publishers who generate to market won't be spending the time, effort, and money creating artisanal books. Special signed hardbacks with sprayed edges, photos from your research, custom end papers, and other unique products will help you stand out in a flood of digital-only books and audio. Include an author's note. As a reader, I love finding an author's note at the end of a novel, and as a writer, I've always included them in my fiction. I think they're even more important now in an age of AI. Talk about why you wrote the book, why it's so personal for you, and give readers an insight into you and what you care about as a human. You can find more details in my video and article at thecreativepenn.com/double down. The rise of generative AI tools doesn't mean the end of human creativity. It's more like a new beginning. In the same way as computers and the internet changed the way we write, publish, and market our work over the last 20 years. By embracing the artisan mindset, we can use the tools to create more meaningful and beautiful books, build stronger connections with readers, and develop sustainable author businesses that support our creative vision. Creators who blend the efficiency and opportunities of technology with the human elements of creativity, empathy, and lived experience will be successful artisan authors in the age of AI. As Professor Ethan Mollick notes in his book, Co-Intelligence, as artificial intelligence proliferates, users who intimately understand the nuances, limitations, and abilities of AI tools are uniquely positioned to unlock AI's full, innovative potential. I believe this is the most exciting time in history to be an independent author. We have unprecedented creative tools at our fingertips and more ways than ever to reach readers who will love our work. The key is approaching these tools with intention, curiosity, and a commitment to our own craft and creative vision. I intend to surf this next wave of technological change into success in the years ahead. I hope you will join me, and in the next chapter, I'll go into some specific ideas for how you can use AI tools to help. 4.2. Ways to use AI tools. There are lots of AI tools you can use, and the possibilities expand every week. The main principle is to keep the aspects of creativity and business that you love and use AI tools to help with the rest. Check the terms and conditions for any service you use, and if you pay for a subscription, I recommend only paying for monthly access. The tools change fast, and as new, better options arise, you want to be able to switch. The thinking and reasoning models like ChatGPT-o3 or similar are significantly better than some of the earlier models, so if you tried something a month ago and it didn't work, try it again. Or try a new tool. Or pay for the next level of access if you want the best models. Remember, working with these AI tools is about having a conversation that goes sequentially deeper into the topic. A prompt is only ever the first step, so ask further questions or expand into new areas. The more you bring to the prompt, the more personalised the output, so if you get a generic answer, try to go into more detail in your initial question. Here are some ways you could use AI tools, and if you want more examples, I offer tutorials and video demos in my community at patreon.com/thecreativepen. Research, idea generation, and collaborative writing. I'm a discovery writer, and I also love book research, both through travelling to new places and reading books on a topic to learn more about it. I'm curious about lots of things, and as I research, I'm always noting down things I call story seeds. It might be an idea about a character, or a what-if question, or a news article that catches my attention. Whenever my curiosity spikes, I write it down. Now I use ChatGPT Deep Research to go further, researching topics and ideas in depth, which I then use to explore in other ways. As one example, I'm considering a short story based on the Hardy tree in London, which came down in a storm a few years ago. Thomas Hardy's Jude the Obscure and Tess of the D'Urbervilles are important books for me, and passages from them echo in my memory from years of teenage angst, so I want to somehow bring all of that into a short story. I prompted ChatGPT Deep Research. Please research the Hardy tree in St Pancras, London, and other places in London associated with Thomas Hardy, and list all the themes and unique elements of Thomas Hardy's writing. The result was a 20-page report I can use to take the story idea further, as well as a list of references to investigate. I do a lot of these deep research reports, and you can use them for book marketing and business advice, along with book research topics and anything else you're interested in. The report lists sources so you can double-check things, and you can output as a PDF if you want to download the result. You can also use ChatGPT to help with story ideas. Here's a sample prompt. You are a commercial fiction market analyst. List 20 high-concept thriller premises that combine archaeology with near-future biotech. Provide a clear hook and main character for each. Read through the ideas and choose one to expand on or combine several. Use a prompt like this one to get an outline. Please expand this idea into a 30-chapter outline using the 3-act structure, each with a few sentences on what happens. Note the main character shifts, conflicts, and end every chapter with a cliffhanger. You can then expand the outline yourself, or keep iterating with the AI tool. For example, once you have the outline, you might ask, expand this chapter outline into 20 story beats. You can also experiment based on your target market for fiction or non-fiction. Here's a sample prompt. I'm writing a book about pilgrimage, but I'm not sure what the angle is. Please give me 20 different book titles that target different market segments with explanations for each. You can, of course, go further and draft entire chapters, articles, or stories with the tools, and even train specific models to output in your voice. If you do that, make sure to prompt in detail and edit thoroughly, so the finished writing is truly yours. You can also use more structured writing tools like pseudo-write, which you can explore at thecreativepenn.com/pseudo-write, or check out courses by the Future Fiction Academy. Plan new editions and update older material. I've put off doing this new edition of Successful Self-Publishing for several years, since things changed so much and I didn't even know where to start. I was lost in the material and couldn't get my head around it all. So you can credit ChatGPT with helping me finally tackle this new edition. I uploaded the old edition to ChatGPT O3 model and asked, please assess this previous edition of my book. I want to update it and rewrite it in a new edition. Please can you do a gap analysis of what I need to update and change, and give me a plan by chapter so I can work through it. That plan became the basis of this rewrite, although every line is human written and/or human edited. I'm going to use a similar prompt for new editions of my other books for authors, as it helped so much to have such a comprehensive planned approach. The O3 model from ChatGPT is a thinking or reasoning model, and other services like Claude, Google Gemini and Grok have similar options. As ever, things change over time, so if you don't get what you need, try a different tool or wait a week and try again. Importantly, respect other people's copyright. Do not upload other people's books or material to the AI tools, or use other author names or brands in your writing prompts. Managing series and keeping a world or series Bible. The more books you write, the more out of control your backlist can become. It's impossible to retain all the information about characters, plot, and world development for fiction, so many authors make a story or world Bible to keep track of everything. For non-fiction, you might revisit a book you wrote years ago for a media interview, or write an article, or create a new keynote talk based on the material. Google Notebook LM is a fantastically useful AI tool for these use cases. Upload the source material, for example, your book or books in a series, which it doesn't retain for training purposes, and then query it. You could ask, make me a list of all the characters across these books, or give me a character bio for Morgan Sierra and how her character develops across the books. Please include her relationships and injuries as well as personal beliefs. For non-fiction, you could use a prompt like this. Please give me 10 article ideas I could write based on this book that would target female solo hikers who want to walk long distance. You can also create FAQs, study guides, mind maps, and briefing documents with one click within a notebook, as well as generate an AI audio discussion of the material in multiple languages. Find it at notebooklm.google.com. Editing and rewriting. Check the terms and conditions for any tool, and if you're happy uploading your writing, they can give you valuable personalised feedback. Pro Writing Aid is useful for line edits, and it also has reports for developmental editing and beta reading powered by AI. You can find it at thecreativepenn.com/Pro Writing Aid. I use Pro Writing Aid before sending my manuscript to my human editor. The software can help pick up lots of issues up front, so my editor can work on the things that only a human reader would pick up. You can also upload your work to Chat, Claude or Gemini and ask for feedback. Here's a sample prompt. Please act as an expert editor for fast-paced thrillers. Please give me feedback on the attached and specifics for how I can improve pacing, character development and plot elements. You can ask it to go deeper into each of the topics it comes back with. Another example, please review the text for derogatory stereotypes or cultural insensitivity and suggest alternatives. You can also rewrite and expand sections. For example, please rewrite the following section from third-person point of view to first-person point of view. This is a great way to get a sense for how a change like this will affect a book before committing to it. Or, please expand the description of the haunted house using deep character and sensory detail from Meg's point of view. Writing sales descriptions and marketing copy. Authors love writing long form, but we mostly struggle when it comes to writing sales copy, especially the dreaded book sales description, which is the text that goes on the back of a print book or on your online book sales page. It's difficult to write a catchy description when you've just written tens of thousands of words. If you're happy with the terms and conditions, you can upload the whole book and use the prompt. You are an expert in writing book sales descriptions for Amazon that make readers want to buy. Please write 3 different book sales descriptions for the attached book and also give me 10 one-line hooks. Then try variations. For example, please rewrite and emphasize the horror tropes, or please rewrite and make it more emotional, or please give me 10 taglines that hook the reader quickly. If you don't want to upload your book, then describe it in detail, or give the AI tool a draft sales description and a prompt like this. Please rewrite this book sales description to make it more like a best-selling thriller book description so readers want to buy. Once the AI tool has an idea about your book, and especially if they have the whole text, you can go further for marketing ideas. Please give me 10 Facebook ad copy variations based on this book. Or, please give me 10 email subject lines I can use to pitch journalists for this book. Or, please identify the key themes and target market for this book and find me 20 active podcasts I could pitch around them. You can also analyse comparable titles. For example, please give me 20 books that are similar to mine and insights into the readers who love these kinds of books. These tools have access to the internet, so you can ask them to analyse your reviews or author platform. Use a prompt like this one. Please analyse the reviews on Desecration by J.F. Penn on Amazon and Goodreads, and tell me what readers love best and what could be improved about the book. Please also give me ideas for new books in the series. You can ask for branding tips or help expanding your author platform. Please analyse author J.F. Penn's website and books and her reviews and give me an overview of her author brand, reader expectations, and how her platform could be improved. You can go on to ask, please give me 20 specific ideas about how I can market my books, or how can I make more money as an author? Ask for more specific details on each of the ideas. You can also ask it to assess various aspects of your platform. For example, review my YouTube channel and give me tips for improvement, or go through my Instagram profile, or whatever is most useful for you. Even if you don't have a book or an author platform online right now, just give it as much detail as you can and the tool will come up with lots of ideas. There really is no limit to how much the tools can help you. But for many authors, marketing is the most common way to use AI tools. Images for social media, advertising, and book covers. AI image generation has improved rapidly over the last few years and is now incorporated into mainstream design tools like Adobe Firefly and Canva. I use AI tools to create images I give to my designer to use in my book covers, as well as making my own for short stories. I also make images for social media ads, posts, and for use in book trailers. As an example, you can see my book trailer for my thriller Death Valley at jfpenn.com/Death Valley trailer. I used midjourney.com to make the images and runwayml.com to turn the still images into videos. I edited the videos together and added royalty-free music with canva.com. You can use the search bar on Midjourney to find other images you like and get ideas for prompts. Importantly, don't use brand names, artist names, or other words in your prompt that might mean you inadvertently breach someone else's copyright. You can also use ChatGPT to generate full book cover images with text. This technique works best when you give it reference images like your previous books in a series. I still work with my long-term cover designer Jane Dixon-Smith on most of my book covers. I'll send images I've generated as concepts and Jane will mock them up with various iterations, so it remains a human-AI collaborative process. Remember to check the terms and conditions of any service to make sure you have commercial usage rights. Data analysis. While there are tools for data analysis on some platforms, they mostly will just give you numerical data and trends over time, whereas you can now use the AI tools to help interrogate the data and find useful insights. Download data files or ad reports or any kind of data and use a prompt like this. This is my book sales data for the last 2 years from Amazon KDP, or whatever the data is. What can you tell me that would be useful for my author business going forward? This prompt is best used with a thinking or reasoning model like ChatGPT o3 or similar, and then you can dive deeper into the results and suggestions. Help make decisions and plan your author career. It can be really useful to discuss your thoughts and ideas with ChatGPT or another AI tool. It's not going to judge you or tell anyone what you think, so you can be honest. Consider a prompt like this. I'm writing my first sci-fi novel, and I want to nail down my definition of success so I know what to aim for in my author career. Can you please interview me and ask me questions to help nail this down? Or if you have some ideas already, try something like this. I'm writing my first sci-fi novel, and I want to get a book deal with a publisher and also make lots of money and win a literary prize. What are the steps I need to do to get there, and how long will each take? Or, I want to successfully self-publish my midlife memoir and get it into my local bookstore. Can you list the steps I need to get there? Audiobook narration. Chapter 2.8 goes into more detail on your options for AI audiobook narration. I'm personally using 11 Labs for audiobooks narrated by my voice clone and other wide audio, and I'm considering Audible Virtual Voice AVV for Amazon and Audible. Translation. While many authors, including me, have used DeepL.com for many years as a first draft AI translator for books, new options have emerged. ChatGPT and Claude can translate passages and even assist with cultural adaptation. For example, you could try a prompt like this. Please translate this book description, or chapter, into French, keeping the emotional tone, and suggest any adaptations to make it more relevant for the market. Scribe Shadow offers a specialised service for authors, focusing on fiction, translating the entire manuscript while attempting to maintain your voice and style. You can also pay extra for proofreading or for human-assisted editing and proofreading through wordcount.inc. Check out the service at thecreativepen.com/translate. You can also find editors and proofreaders for translated works at Readsy or other freelance marketplaces. Translation is not just word-for-word replication, but also involves adjustment to local markets. Having a human-first reader in the specific language is an important step in the process of creating a quality product. Stay up to date with AI changes and opportunities. Use cases for AI change fast, and new tools emerge all the time, so it's hard to stay up to date. I share curated publishing-related AI updates on the Creative Pen podcast every Monday, and I also share demos and tutorials in my community at patreon.com/thecreativepen. If you want more in-depth analysis, check out the AI-related podcasts Hard Fork, The Artificial Intelligence Show, and Brave New Bookshelf. There are also AI Positive and AI Curious author Facebook groups and online communities associated with courses like the Future Fiction Academy. If you want an in-person conference that is open to AI, check out Author Nation, the biggest indie author business conference in the world. These ideas are enough to get you started, but if you get stuck, just ask the AI tool how it can help. Here's a sample prompt. I want to do whatever it is. How can you help me do that? You get to choose how you use the tools, and even if you don't want to use them anywhere near the creative side of your business, you will probably find them useful for marketing. Stay curious, ask questions, and have fun. Your next steps. I know self-publishing can seem daunting at first, but like any skill, once you've been through the process, it gets easier over time. It's also incredibly empowering to put your words out into the world and have complete control over all aspects of your book. Remember, you can change things later if you want to. Your cover, price, sales description, even the words in your book. So don't worry about getting things wrong. Try your best, take it step by step, and you'll get there. Step 1. Decide what to focus on and take one small step in that direction. Stop overthinking. Stop adding more to your to-do list. Simplify. Decide on one concrete thing that will make a difference, then do it. If you need to finish the first draft of your book, sit down to write. If you want to build your email list, choose an email provider and set up a simple subscription form. If you want to self-publish on Amazon, log into KDP and start going through the screens. One day, or even an hour of practical experience can propel you forward. Pick an area and learn as you go. Step 2. Plan your time and keep turning up for those appointments with yourself until you achieve your focused goal. If you need to finish that first draft, reorganize your schedule. Clear space to write, then turn up to that appointment with yourself as you would to any important meeting with someone you respect. Once you've achieved that goal, move on to the next step. Finished a first draft? Great! Start the editing process. Set up a basic email form? Great! Start learning how to bring readers to it so they sign up. Implement the next step once you've finished the last one. Don't try to do too many things at once, or you will get overwhelmed. You don't have to work on this every day or even every week, but if your author career is important to you, then make time for it. Otherwise, another year will pass and you won't be any closer to your goal. Step 3. Keep going. Be consistent and keep a long-term perspective. Patience on the journey is hard, especially as you see other authors achieving the success you seek. Creativity is its own reward, and you will hopefully find writing a satisfying way to spend your time, regardless of the external outcome. But you might also find that over the long term, you can achieve a great deal. Self-publishing my first book changed my life. Back in 2006, when I started writing seriously for publication, my life was very different. We lived in Australia, and I worked as an IT consultant implementing accounts payable systems. I wrote technical specifications at work and journaled at home. I had no books, no readers, no website, no podcast, no blog, no social media, no YouTube channel, no author friends, no income from my words. I had nothing but a day job I hated and a dream to escape and somehow make a living with my writing. Almost 2 decades later, I've written and independently published more than 45 books, and I've sold almost 1 million copies across 180 countries and 6 languages. I'm an award-winning New York Times and USA Today bestselling author and an award-winning creative entrepreneur and podcaster with a multi-6-figure business based around my writing. None of this could have happened without small actions taken almost every day, consistently for years. Writing, self-publishing, book marketing, learning new skills, connecting with readers, building my community, all compounding over time. I love writing, and I love my job as an author-entrepreneur. Your author journey will not be the same as mine, but if you want to join me on the path ahead, you just have to take the first or next step. Happy writing and all the best with your books. The end. You have been listening to Successful Self-Publishing: How to Self-Publish and Market Your Book, 4th edition. Written and narrated by Joanna Penn. Copyright Joanna Penn. You can find more of my books and podcasts for authors at thecreativepenn.com. Thanks for listening.